Hello, 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 everyone. Happy Wednesday. Welcome to Live at 5. Live at 5 is a show that I do aptly at 5 p.m. on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday on this channel. On Fridays, we go over to my second channel, Actively Unwoke, for a happy hour, and on Saturdays, I rest. We got a great stream coming up today, which I'm going to talk to you about in a second, but I just want to make a quick programming note for tomorrow. Tomorrow, it is highly likely that we will be doing Spy Stream again at 7 p.m. So I might not go live at 5. I might go live at 7. I'm just waiting for final confirmation that I didn't get kicked out of that equity class that we got into last week, because that's like a paid class. It's like a private class. And I am under the current impression that I'm still technically in that class and that I will be getting the Zoom link for the next session, which is tomorrow. And if I get that Zoom link, we are going to be going live at 7 p.m. or probably like 6:45-ish for Spy Stream tomorrow night. And I will be updating you all throughout the day. Spy Stream, we got to keep it flexible, man. It's like we're infiltrating woke training sessions here. So I'm on their schedule. I'm not on mine. But today, we do have a really great stream. I'm going to be bringing on my friend Graphically Alex in just a second. But before we get into that, I just want to remind everyone that if you would like to support the work that I am doing, one of the very best ways to do that is by becoming a member of my locals community. My locals community is the best. We just had our community Zoom call earlier today where we spent, the better part of 3 hours chatting and supporting each other and gossiping. There was some juicy gossip that was spilled in the Zoom call today that you really can't get anywhere else. Even you guys think I complain about Twitter drama on these streams sometimes. I complain way more in the community Zoom calls. We talked a lot about spanking and paddling today because, of course, that was a theme yesterday. And in fact, on my community Zoom call today, I have debuted a new YouTube channel member special emoji. You can find it in the chat right now. I'll even chat it in. We now have a paddle special emoji on the channel. That's what it looks like right there. Just in case, there are some bad Twitter boys who obviously want something that they're not ever going to get, but we can give them the emoji in the chat of a paddle with my initials on it. Just in case that might come in handy. So that is now a member-specific emoji for my channel members, an extra perk. We've got some other great emojis in there as well if you want to be able to use those. Anyway, that was developed on my locals community Zoom earlier today. And if you want to get in on the action and tell me what emojis you would like in the chat, please come and join us at kb.locals.com/support. You can get in on the action for $5 a month. You can do it for $50 a year, which gives you 2 months for free. You can make a one-time gift. We've got a Bitchcraft coming up on Saturday at 3 p.m. for local supporters, where we're going to get on a community Zoom. We can craft. You can knit. I will obviously be knitting because knitting is the most superior of all crafts. I think my guest today will probably be knitting as well on the Bitchcraft on Saturday. And you can crochet. You can draw. You can paint. You can color. You can play video games. You can clean your gun. Whatever inspires you. You can come do that in Bitchcraft on Saturday at 3 p.m. if you're a supporter in locals. And as a reminder, I do have a book coming out next month. It was supposed to be this month. It got moved because of supply chain issues and printer staffing shortages, but it will be coming out on May 10th, confirmed. It's called Actively Unwoke, the ultimate guide for fighting back against woke insanity in your life. You can right now on Amazon order the hardcover, the audiobook, or the Kindle version. If you have an aversion to Amazon in any way, you can go to my website, activelyunwoke.com. All of this is in the description down below, whether you are watching on Odyssey or Rockfin or Rumble or even Gitter. Actually, it wouldn't be in the description on Gitter, but you can still find your way there. But make sure you pre-order my book. It really helps me out. It is a signal to the publishers and to the bookstores that this is something people want. And the more they see people pre-ordering the book, the more books they're going to buy. And the more books they buy, the more people that we can add to the Unwoke army who are fighting back against woke insanity. In this book, I lay out the problem with the woke ideology in plain English. I give you case studies. I give you actionable strategies. It is the only book on the market with actual actionable things that every single person can do. I'm really proud of it, and I can't wait for you guys to all read it in a little over a month. All right. My guest today is actually a member of my locals community. This is how we met. I am super excited. He is an author. He has been a conservative through his entire life. And he said to me in our community Zoom calls, he said, Carlin, I think that sometimes you get it wrong about, oh, I didn't even put the paddle emoji in the chat. Oh my God, there's the paddle emoji. There it is in the chat now. So my guest today says, already coughing. This is going to go great. See, he's so nervous. He's nervous about coming on the stream today, and we already have a super chat. Incognito says, "You got this, Alex. You're among friends." I've already coughed and made a fool of myself on the stream. You can't do any worse. Alex is here today to have a conversation about the mindset of conservatives, and I know this is going to be a great chat. I think that this is just going to be a chat about perspectives and different sides of things. With obviously I came up as a Democrat, and then I became an independent, and then a Republican for about 15 minutes, and then became a libertarian, which is where I really feel like I'm most suited. But Alex, you've been a conservative all your life, and you sometimes think I get a little wrong about the conservative mindset when I'm complaining about how lazy conservatives are and why they're being lazy, and why I get so frustrated that they won't do anything. And we decided it would be a great thing just to hash out on the stream and just to have a nice little chat. So welcome to the channel. Would you like to introduce yourself to the fine folks watching?
Yes. Hi, I'm Alex. I'm graphically Alex. I'm not trans, just for so you know. I'm also not a lesbian. I am male. No, I'm just kidding. But when I worked in a call center, everybody was like, oh my God, or everyone's like, hello, ma'am. And I just go with it. So I guess my pronouns are I don't care. But what I will say is this is going to be a struggle session. I'm going to hold Carlin to task for everything she's ever done in her whole life.
Oh no, you're going to hold me to task. I thought this was going to be a nice chat. Now I walked into a struggle session. Oh no.
You stumbled upon. No, I'm just kidding. No, but I've been, as you said, I've been a lifelong conservative. I went to a radical Christian cult school. No, I'm just kidding. I went to an evangelical Christian school from the ages of 4 to 14. So I was really brought up in it. I was, it was evangelical, I would say, more than likely, but they would be like, we're non-denominational, which is code for we're evangelical, which is fine. But anyways, it was very evangelical. As you know, I'm a millennial, so I was going through this during the 2000s. Going through this, I really wore the cross of being in evangelical school. I'm just kidding. But no, like I've been raised the whole way through. My family has been conservative for many generations. The closest thing to a walk away that we have is my grandma. She probably walked away. Her family was Democrat when she was born in the 50s. So when she became an adult, she walked away from the Democrat Party just because she came into her own. Yeah, she came into her own like beliefs, I think, and then my family were huge Reaganites, my mom and my aunt, very conservative, very straight up, all the way down, basically. I think I have one cousin that's liberal, but she's like center left, very center left, if that makes any sense. In this family,
I like it. She's very center.
She must be, because it will not be tolerated. No, I'm just kidding. No, but no, she got a whole lot of shit because she was debating on voting for Biden, and that was not gonna fly. So I'm just saying, when I say like I am conservative, I mean it. Like it's not, again, I'm not a walk away, but I do think that because, me and Carlin, we've obviously had very different experiences, or we've grown up in different ways, or whatever, different time frames even, because I'm in a different generation. But the whole thing is that we have, you don't necessarily understand both sides automatically, and even like liberals, every show was liberal. Your school is liberal if you were in public school. Your university is, your news is, everything is. So it's like, as a liberal, you are never exposed to a conservative talking point or view other than maybe Fox News or something, or like, just something that's not typical, unless if you have conservatives in your life, which if you do, then you would probably know more, obviously. But if you didn't, you'd barely get any exposure. And for me, I had a similar experience being on the right because I was in that school. And that was very insular and very, not isolated, but it was pretty insular. And the
Mhm.
whole idea, as I'm sure Carlin knows, is, the world is sinful and you cannot be watching things that are not good type of thing.
Yes. The
Her
Republic
favorite.
the type of Republicans that I hate more than any other type of Republican, yes.
Her favorite kind of people.
The type of Republicans that made me into a Democrat.
Basically. And that was the Bush era, which, is really the crown achievement of Republicans. Especially even now, it's like, oh, we cringe now. I don't know what we were thinking, but none of us know. And you know what's crazy? Weird conservative story, but
Mhm.
back in 2000, when I was literally like a kid, my mom and grandma, they asked me, I guess just randomly, but they were like gonna vote in the primary. And I think they said, like, should we vote for Huckabee or Bush? And I said Bush.
Oh, no, you were one of those guys?
I was 7 years old.
Oh,
Like,
well, we
give
can't
me
fault
some
you for it
credit.
then, you were
I
7.
didn't know. But they were like, yeah, because they were like debating and they're like, yeah, I think we're gonna go with Bush.
Mhm.
And when I think about that now, I'm like, oh my God, that is crazy. Because I think Huckabee would have actually probably been decent. Um, but hindsight is 2020, and so is
Mhm.
the panorama. That's what I call it.
Indeed. Well, I just want to bring in this super chat here from Michael Rogers. This is going to be very interesting to me as a Brit, as I've always had a perception that US conservatives are a little crazy. Carlin is probably British right. Alex's lava lamp wins the backdrop, though. I agree that Alex's lava lamp takes the cake. I'm not British anything, for the record. I'm very anti Britain at the moment.
That's funny. No, I mean, Lava Lamp is 90s vibes. I'm a 90s kid, so 90s baby, basically. Very little in the 90s, but I
Mhm.
still remember it.
You got to go to Spencer Gifts and get the lava lamp.
I remember everybody thinking the world was gonna end on New Year's when it was gonna be
Oh.
2000.
Oh, I remember that, yeah.
And then even as a kid, I was like, "I don't think so."
And then then literally nothing happened. It was like the most
Right.
anticlimactic New Year's in the history of New Year's. Nothing happened.
And then the world did end in 2001 on September 11th, so because a
Wow.
lot of stuff happened after that, but
Indeed.
yeah.
So I
So
understand
anyway,
you prepared for this stream way more than I did. Because I was like, we're just gonna have a chat. It's gonna be basically like our community Zoom calls, except it's only me and Alex, and that's fine with me because I think if we're left to our own devices, we can probably go on for a
yeah,
while as it is. But like, so where do you want to take this conversation, Alex? Because you said this is gonna be a struggle session. You set the expectation.
we're gonna
So
do the
so
work.
like we're gonna do the work to help me
We're
understand
gonna
why I shouldn't be so hard on conservatives because let's be honest, I've made shitting on your people into an art form in the past year and a half. I take a lot of pride in the amount of shitting that I've done on conservatives. And but I also feel like I have given out really wise and sage
yeah.
advice that they don't listen to, and then I get pissed off that they don't listen to it, and thus I made shitting into an art form. So set me right. I'm handing the floor over to you.
Well, the left will be proud of us because we're engaging in a difficult conversation, or what
Oh.
is it, an uncomfortable conversation, right? No, but I would say the thing is that a lot of your criticisms are very dead on, and they're issues that have persisted for many a year on the right. And I have to admit it. And I'm not just saying that, I wouldn't.
Mhm.
And there are, of course, things that we disagree on that we probably will never agree on, which I'm not, whatever. We could discuss that at a different time. That's not what this is, but
Yeah.
it's because it's more so about like FJB. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
That
So you're
means
saying that
never
I'm
happened.
right. Wait, let's just wait. We need to remember this is that you. I know you're into astrology. This is Carlin's month of narcissism. So can we just say that Carlin is right?
She's right about a lot. I'll give her that. Can't give it all the way. No way. No way. Not in my obstructionist conservative brain, never.
Okay.
But a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, I mean, I found Carlin's channel. Well, I did want to talk about kind of the right's political evolution and also my own because that's super relevant, actually. So, whew, okay. So when it comes to, again, I'm really only talking about from the 2000s on. I mean, I'm not like super history buff. Like I do know some of the history of like the 80s and 90s. I do know what you're talking about when you say the moral majority, all this
Mm-hmm.
stuff, all your favorite people.
That's
Your
okay.
best friends. Uh, like I know what you mean by that, obviously. And then of course, everything is satanic and
Oh
which that's
God, the
still
satanic panic. Oh my God.
it's still like there's there's like remnants. There was certainly remnants of that in the 2000s for sure. But what I will say is I think what a lot of people that come from the left or a lot of walkaways don't understand is that the right also had to red pill. And
Okay.
if you think about it, we went from Romney to Trump. Those are two very different candidates. And
Mm-hmm.
Trump, in and of himself, is a huge representation that something major shifted on the right. And it was pretty collectively, not 100%. There were like never Trumpers and cringe and, Lincoln Project, which gosh,
They're not Republicans. They're Democrats. They're
yeah,
Democrats.
basically.
Yeah.
There was a lot of that type of stuff where there were, even in my life, again, grew up in the evangelical church and blah, blah, blah. Like a lot of people that I know were like, I'm not voting for Trump. Like he's mean tweets. He's just so improper. And, this type of attitude, he's not presidential, blah, blah, blah. Right. Same things you'd probably hear from the left, but they just say everything. But basically, like the vast majority of the right did want Trump because the reason why is because he actually would say something and he would actually fight and he would actually, to a certain extent, he humiliated like Ted Cruz and stuff. Like, so it kind of like he showed his strength and Jeb Bush was cringe and he made him look really cringe. Like he kind of pointed out like a lot of the issues that were in the Republican Party at the time. And the Republican Party and conservatives were incredibly lost, especially after 2012. That was really hard. Like I always talk about well, I don't always talk about it, but whenever I talk about my red pilling, I cried horribly when Obama won in 2012. Like I was horrified. It was like, how can people not see what he's doing? I don't understand. Like, I thought we tried because we did a lot of stuff. I mean, there was still the Tea Party, like there was stuff going on. And there was some nastiness from the right, but we're going to get into that too, because I think I do have to, or the right does need to apologize for certain things, in my opinion,
Yes, they do.
which we'll get to that as well. But when it came to the red pilling thing, it was like, it kind of was this moment where we had lost. We lost in 2008, which McCain was not a good candidate, and then neither was Romney, obviously. But I remember like when the 2012 election was happening, like that was the first one I voted in. And I did vote for Romney. And I don't say that proudly. I like kind of cringe at the thought. But when I think about it, it was Obamacare versus Romney care.
Mm-hmm.
And all of us were like, ew, what the hell, Romney? Like, we don't want Romney care. Like, stop. And it was like the same person. And I think what a lot of people, I also think what a lot of people on the left and the right don't understand is that a lot of Obama voters voted for Trump. There's overlap
Oh
because Obama
yeah.
won in a landslide, and so people have been switching back and forth, and there has been a lot of stuff going on. So it's like a lot of people, I've talked to some liberals and stuff, or some people that were progressive, earlier on, and they were not happy with Obama either, especially by the end of the second term. So they were unhappy with the warmongering. They were unhappy with, especially the warmongering. I feel like that's like a huge thing that a lot of people said about Obama, because it was just, there was a lot going on in his second term when it came to that. It was kind of crazy. And then, of course, Hillary Clinton was horrible, and the Benghazi, and it was just bad. Like, there was a lot going on the left, on the Democrat side. So a lot of people have been red pilling since at least probably around 2008, probably since the crash. I feel like that was like a moment when everyone was like, what is going on? And everything changed drastically after that point. And I think there has been like a slow, steady drip of red pills going down ever since then, all the way up till 2020.
So let
So
me let me ask you about this. So when I say red pill, because I want to make sure we talk about definitions, because I think everyone has a different definition when they say red pill. When I say red pill, I mean I woke up to the reality that the media has been lying to me basically all of my life, and that there was just way more going on than I ever had any idea just watching like MSNBC all day every day. So I don't actually mean like, some people call it like, so Republicans always used to say to me like, oh, you haven't red pilled yet. And what they were saying is, you aren't a Republican yet, you're going to be a conservative. You're not really red pilled until
Mhm.
you're a conservative. I don't buy into that at all. I think that red pilling is just about waking up and seeing the world as it is, rather than what you want it to be. So when
Yes.
you say red pill, and when you talk about the fact that conservatives had to go through a process of red pilling, what do you mean?
So there's a couple of things right off the bat. Feminism.
Mm-hmm.
Feminism was just as big on the right as it was on the left. So that's something that a lot of people don't understand. And it was really questioned around Obama's second term. And obviously, Trump represents that as well, because Trump is this aggressive man. He's overtly masculine, talking about grabbing whatever.
Grabbing women by the thing.
Yes. And that would have never flown 10 years prior, ever, because feminism was very strong. And even in evangelicalism, feminism is very strong.
Mm-hmm.
If you think of somebody like Ali Stuckey, she's feminist. She may act like she's not, but she is.
Ooh, tell me more about that. You know about my love of Allie Beth.
I would just say, from what I know about her, which I may or may not be right or wrong, I'm not sure. Does she have any children, for example,
I
that
think
you
she
know of?
I well, I don't know. I don't know her background. I feel like I've heard her say that she has, but I have no idea.
Okay. If she does, then I'll give her a little bit of a feminist pass. But if she doesn't, it's like dead on. You know what I'm saying? And then plus,
Mhm.
like, she's got the career thing, and she's doing this and she's doing that. And she has these certain mindsets where it's like, again, like, she is putting her, what am I trying to say? She's putting all this stuff into her career. And I
Mhm.
think she thinks, I'm doing it from a religious perspective, or, she thinks that she's doing it in whatever way she is. But, for somebody who's so fundamentalist as she is, or so hardcore, the Bible does not speak super fondly about women speaking, especially about religion. Okay. It's not necessarily like if you're going to read it really fundamentalist, you get what I'm saying? If
Mhm.
you were going to be like, you're not following the rules, which there are a lot of orthodox versions of Christianity where, a woman can't even go into a church without a hat on, right? So there
Mhm.
is this level within different areas of Christianity. But the point is, like, she's still more of a feminist because she believes she can do this, which is
Yeah.
fine, right? Everybody kind of, they promote certain things in the Bible and they demote other things. And that's just the way it is. That's how every different approach to Christianity does.
Mhm.
That's how it always has been. I mean, that's with every religion, everything. Everybody does that. So that used to be one of the things that the evangelicals would drive me nuts, was you're just cherry picking, or you're a cafeteria Christian. And it's like, well,
And then they
everybody
do
is.
the exact same thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. This is like one of the big things. Like I used to argue in the 90s with like Christians like all the time. Be like, you like I know what parts of the Bible you're cherry picking. I've read the Bible too. You're doing exactly the same thing. And they always
Well,
deny it every single time.
and the thing is that we have a freedom of religion in this country still. It's holding on by a thread, but it is still there. And the thing is that's why religion is not politics, because they're not the same. We
Right.
cannot, everybody's experience of religion is going to be different, vastly different. Everybody's going to have a different view, a different interpretation, a different this, a different that. And maybe people agree on certain things and they come together and they form something like evangelicalism, or they form something like Pentecostal, or, obviously Catholic, Lutheran. There's so many different things. So it's like, as a Christian, you definitely know there are different ways of interpreting scripture, unless if you're just like, they're all wrong, whatever. But the point is, evangelical is definitely the most feminist version of Christianity that exists. Absolutely. And how does it play out? Men are just trying to have sex with you. They're just going to take you down a notch, blah, 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 blah. You don't want to put yourself in that situation. You don't want to lower yourself as to be with a man. This is basically what it was. That's the subtext of what was taught.
Wow.
It's not necessarily, was never said that way. How they would say it is, you want to stay pure. So if you lose your virginity, then you've given a part of yourself to that person and it's gone forever.
Right.
That's how it would come out. But the actual implication was actually more feminist than anything. It was, a man will only ever take something from you. That sounds like a feminist to me, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So I'm just saying. And it's kind of similar with the gay issue too, when you think about it, because how dare a man not do everything for a woman, right? How dare a man not do that? How dare a man choose not to be with women, or not be attracted to women who are the holy grail of all? And again, this is a subtext, and this is something that was going on in our history as a nation. Feminism was huge for many, many decades until very recently. Which was probably, when the right sort of red pill. So when I say red pill, I mean like you realize that certain things that you've been taught your whole life are just not true. And one of them was feminism for the right. And again, there were certain issues where maybe people backlashed against it. Like you do have like your MGTOWs and your, other type of things that are too far the other way, or, every woman's evil. And, I know you've dealt with that, I'm sure.
I just blocked them all on Twitter. It's fine. I think I blocked all of them at this point.
Right. Right. Carlin very much gets the, evil woman, whatever, she's the Ursula, the witch, type of thing, which that can be a bit of a backlash to feminism as well, because I've never seen you as a feminist. I'm going to be honest. I haven't.
No, and I wouldn't consider myself to be a feminist. And to be honest, Alex, like this backlash that I get from the right, mostly because they don't like my haircut, is like it is one of the most annoying things in the world. Because, from my perspective, I'm like, mother effers, I gave up my entire year in 2020 to shill for you. I did a PragerU video in which I said they're really not all that bad. I traveled around, I gave up
No.
every single weekend of my life for 6 months to travel around the country to try to get people to leave the Democratic Party and vote for Donald Trump. And to me, it's like, it started right after Joe Biden got elected. I felt like every single group that I had spent the last year, like, getting myself canceled to help, losing all my friends to help, like trying to do the right thing, trying to, speak up and say, this is the truth and people need to see it. I felt like the entire conservative movement just gave me the middle finger and was like, you failed, get the F out, and we lost, and we're going to go back to our, 90s Republican ways. And I was like, this is not something I want to be a part of in any way, shape, or form. But it also, for me, felt like a really personal fucking, like, fuck off. We don't want you here anymore. And I mean, to the point where I was literally told by people like Lauren Witzke, who I know is one of your favorite conservatives, or like on
Oh, Lord.
Elijah Schaefer's channel, like, you're not wanted here, get out. And so I'm someone where, like, if I'm not wanted somewhere, I will leave. Like
Right.
because I believe that like everyone has a place in the world and everyone has community, and if it's not here, I'll just go somewhere else and I'll find it. And that to me was a really jarring moment where I just felt like the conservatives that I had interacted with, I felt like they were really unappreciative of the sacrifices that I personally made to try to help them. And it wasn't even just about me, because I look at the situation and I'm like, if they're doing something to me, they're not just doing it to me. And so I
Right.
saw it as more of a broader issue. So I don't know if we, where you want to go with that. I don't know.
Well, that is kind of something I will talk about when I get to what the right got wrong kind of thing,
Oh, good.
which that's a whole section for sure.
Mhm.
But basically, when I say red pilling, I mean the right have been told forever, okay, at least as long as I can remember, your
Mhm.
side is losing, you're losing relevancy every day. Demographics in the country are changing and they're never going to vote for you. Everything is going to shit. You're losing everybody. You will never win an election ever again. We heard this for 8 years under Obama.
Mhm.
So you can just imagine some of the stew and anger that came from that, but also some of the searching for answers. And red pilling was sort of like, we realized we could win. It was
Mhm.
like a shock because a lot of conservatives did not think we would ever win again. And conservatives are very negative. That is definitely one of the things that they get wrong. They're very, very negative, and extremely pessimistic. And it's because, like, I think in the 2000s, we were like overly optimistic. So that's like a
Mm.
weird backlash within the
Well,
2000s. Like, we
no,
can
but
do anything.
well, that makes
We'll
sense
always
though,
win.
because in
Mhm.
2020, I think conservatives were extremely optimistic in 2020. Frankly, way more optimistic than they should have been, because, like the walkaway
Right.
people, we were going around saying, "You understand, you guys understand, right? Trump could lose. He could lose, like in a real way. He could lose."
Yeah.
And every conservative I've talked to was like, "Nope, nope, we're the silent majority. Everything's fine." They were in a great mood in 2020, and then when they did lose,
Yeah.
oh my god.
Well, I mean, we'll get to that.
Mhm.
So I call that my second red pill, I guess.
Mhm.
So basically, when I say I red pilled, it meant that it's red pilling from an evangelical perspective or from a conservative Christian perspective or conservative perspective. So it was, I came out of the closet. That was a huge red pill thing for me. I realized, at least within my own experience in Christianity, being gay is not a sin at all. And that was a huge red pill for me. Okay. That was
Mhm.
like life changing, life altering for me. And I came out because I realized lying was more of a sin than being gay. And I also realized that it was causing more harm to keep it a secret than to, as the Bible says, the truth will set you free.
Mhm.
So
I
that's
can't
very true.
imagine, and I don't mean any offense by this, I can't imagine many people in your life were surprised.
Definitely not, but it's not necessarily on the right. It's not really about like, uh, was he not femme or not, right? Like,
Yeah.
obviously, I was super femme. That's not what it was about. It was about coming out for me was I'm gay, so I'm taking on the label and I'm
Mhm.
going to live this life. So I'm going to have a husband someday. I'm going to do this stuff. So that's what it meant, which
Mhm.
again, that could be a left versus right difference, but it's more of an action than what was super obvious, basically.
Yeah.
But I do have to talk about like some of the super obviousness too. Like I was very obviously gay, and there are some things that I think the left doesn't understand. Like when I was in the church and stuff, like I never was bullied for being gay. I never had any issue with it other than it's a sin. You're going to go to hell, the whole thing. You
Yeah.
should convert if you are, all the talking points we that you're very familiar with.
Yes.
But it was never like I'm beat up for being gay. I'm thrown out. Like, in fact, I was actually kind of popular at the school. Like, I didn't feel like I was, but I was in middle school or whatever. So who feels like they're popular, right?
Right.
You're just insecure anyways. And plus I was gaining weight. I feel like I had more of an issue being fat at that school than being gay, which is weird.
It doesn't surprise me, to be honest.
Well, plus the 2000s was very anti-fat as a decade.
Oh god, and what we're experiencing now is a direct backlash to
Yeah,
that. Like everything is a
right.
backlash to everything else.
I know, it's crazy, but I would say, like, you know, the only time I was ever slightly bullied or slightly, like I had one kid ask me like, "Why do you talk like that?" And, like different things like that. It was so rare. I think it happened like 3 times. There's only one
Mhm.
situation where I was sort of bullied for a bit, but each of them were gay. Every
Mhm.
single one of them was gay. And
Of
in the
course.
years that followed, they came out. Yeah.
It's
Or they
always
I
it's
know.
always the way it works every single time.
So that's what I have to, you know, just put that out there too. Like I was friends with all the girls, obviously. I mean, that's very typical, especially since I was so femme. Like I was friend with the mean girls. I was my own Ali Stuckey in middle school. Because I was, I do all the conservative talking points, and that's just sinful, and you shouldn't be drinking. And oh my gosh, did they have sex? Like, oh, she's not a virgin anymore. Like, this is the type of stuff we would talk about in high school too. And it's so weird because this is the other thing. Evangelical.
I kind of love that the gossip among the evangelical high schoolers is, did she lose her virginity?
Oh my gosh, I think she got drunk the other day, or like in the
Oh.
youth group when I was in high school, they were like, one of the guys, I don't know if I should say his name, but I
No, you
think he
should
was,
not say his
yeah,
name.
he was like 19. So he was like a lead, like a youth
Mhm.
group lead. And they're just like, oh my gosh, like, whoever, he got drunk. And, we can't have him leading the group anymore. Like,
Oh my
it's just
god.
not appropriate. So when you think, like, that's what the drama was. And it's funny because, like, I have some journal entries and stuff, which maybe someday I'll share that on my channel, like where I'm writing about stuff like that, where it's like, oh my gosh, Becky, to, Becky's a virgin, and like, Steve he doesn't feel like he's worthy of her because he's not. So this is the kind of conversations we were having. So,
I love it.
but what I want to say is, from that, the other thing the left needs to understand, which you definitely do at this point, is there's but a fine line with my gay pen. There is a fine line written with a gay pen that is between evangelical, hardcore, right wing, and SJW.
Yes, they're the same.
It's
They are the
almost exactly the same.
same. They
Yeah.
are the same. I agree.
And they almost even advocate for the same political positions. It's kind of crazy how similar. So when
Yes.
I think of America in the 2000s, it's literally like we were both exactly the same, but we thought we were so different from each other, and we were still going down this totalitarian path, basically, regardless of who was in office. But yeah, so that's definitely a thing. So you can hear, like, it wasn't, well, she needs to not center herself with her whiteness. It was, oh, it's just not appropriate because he got drunk. So I don't think we can have him as the lead anymore. Or again, that's just sinful instead of that's problematic. It was the same. It was virtually the same. And we were also raised to be warriors of Christ and go out into the world and convert everybody to be Christian. And then we can have the, you know,
Mhm.
Christ's kingdom and whatever, and the world will be perfect, and sunshine and rainbows, just like the left. You'll build your socialist utopia and everybody will be happy. It was the same mindset on the right. If we just take over everything and we just do everything and get everybody to stop sinning, then the world will be perfect. So it's very similar. It's
And
extremely similar.
it is extremely similar. I just want to go to some super chats. Jess T says, "Peeps for Alex, great
uh
conversation, guys. Mount that like button, or paddle that like button, or caress that like button if you are enjoying the conversation so far." Gypsy Witch Production says, "Alex, my son was punished by the church for being gay without even consulting me. He was only in high school then. I'm happy your church is kinder." And I'm happy that you had a better experience with that as well. I mean, obviously the gay stuff with the religious right, it really bothers me, just on
yeah.
like this has always been, I mean, I know everyone think, well, not everyone now thinks I'm a lesbian. I think pretty people know I'm married to a dude, but I mean, when I grew up, but no, for real, like when I was in high school, everyone thought I was a lesbian. I never was. But that was that, they all thought I was. Michael says that's not a gay pen, it just can't afford gas.
Yeah, I
So
would
so
yeah,
go ahead.
Oh, what were
No,
you gonna say?
I was gonna say is just so so the right had to go through a process of realizing that the strategies that they were using probably weren't the best strategies if
Yeah,
they ever wanted to win an election again. So and you know, obviously Trump was president, and so they got it together. A lot of the people on the right kind of plugged their noses
yeah,
and voted for him just because, you know, they did. But like but what we're seeing now, or at least my perception of what's going on now, is that they lost. They got angry that they lost, even though everyone and their mother warned them that they could lose if they didn't actually try and
right,
didn't keep an eye on things. And quite frankly, I really think that the Republican Party really gigantically dropped the ball on the
yeah,
election integrity thing. They just were so sure that they were going to win that they were like, we don't even have to try. And then when they lost, they got really angry.
yeah,
And what I see, and my perception of reality might not be, there might
right.
be other perceptions. What I see is them turning back into the angry Republicans that I knew in the 90s. And it's extremely distressing for me because as much as I do shit on conservatives all the time, I'm doing it because I actually want them to win. I
No,
want
and
them to
I
get
understand that.
better. And I
Yeah,
want them to listen. And it's like the way that they're acting, you know, they're driving like as of right now, I see no
right,
reason to ever vote for another Republican ever again. And this is like I feel exactly about the Republican Party like I felt about the Democratic Party
right.
in 2020. It's like there's no reason to even consider them. They all suck. So why like what happened from your perspective?
Okay, so it's a lot of things, with that. So what really happened is obviously, the what really happened with the red pilling of conservatives, it was more of it's kind of a, to do the pun, it was sort of a come to Jesus moment when it came to Trump.
Mhm.
It was we don't know what the hell we're doing. We are losing. We don't want to lose. This is too high stakes, especially with Hillary. I mean, gosh, she terrifies everybody basically. So it was like, oh my God, we got to get this shit together.
Mhm.
So we got a fighter in. And basically, the relationship that Trump and conservatives had with each other is basically that Trump was going to save us. Trump could do everything. He could handle it all on his own. And he kind of fed into that because he is, a little narcissistic, right? So I'm sure he
Mhm.
loved that. And he did a lot. Like, I have to give him credit. He really did a lot of stuff very, very fast. So it was kind of dazzling. But I think conservatives, they sort of over idealized him in a way. And they didn't accept the fact that he is still just one person. And at the
Mhm.
end of the day, if you want things to be done, you have to step up too. And so that didn't happen. I don't think conservatives stepped up in 2018. So the House was gone
Mhm.
because they were like, oh, well, the wall isn't built yesterday. Like, I guess people wanted it built in a day. They wanted him to get in and the wall be done in a day. It's just not realistic. And so I think that there's something a lot of people on the left don't understand is that conservatives and Republicans are probably more emotional about their politics than even the leftists.
Oh, no, it's so true. They are
Yeah,
incredibly emotional, and it
yeah,
drives me nuts because they're always, like, the first ones to be like, "Facts don't care about your feelings." I was like, "Really? You're putting your feelings on
right.
display right now."
I mean, both sides project on each other, right?
Mhm.
So the right will say the left is unreasonable and the left is over emotional. That's actually the right. And the
Mhm.
left will say the right is bigoted or not empathetic, not compassionate. And that's actually the left, to be
Mhm.
honest,
Yes.
especially with the lockdowns. There was zero compassion from any person on the left when it came to that. And I will never forget it. So, anyways, I'm very angry. It's very hard. Um, but that's the thing. I think a lot of liberals, they think, oh, well, I just cried when Trump won. But you don't understand, sweetie. You were appropriating conservative culture. That's a conservative thing to be upset about it that
Mhm.
deeply. It's so deep, you don't even share it. It's so personal. That's why it's hard for conservatives to advocate and to do this stuff, which is what I'm explaining to you, because it's so emotional. It really hurts when people say you're racist or you're this or you're that, because it cuts deep, because it's like, this is something that's so important to me. That's why it was hard for me to even come on here. You know,
Mhm.
my politics are incredibly important to me. And I was just like, I want to make sure that I do it right. I want to make sure that I do whatever. So I think a lot of conservatives, they get so anxious about not doing it right that they don't do anything at all. Or, like you pointed out, which you had some golden moments, I will say. One of the things that you said that stuck out so deeply was after Trump was out of office. You said that conservatives don't express themselves. And so oftentimes they overcorrect. And that is so true, because the thing is, and again, I've been gay forever, basically. Nobody said it to me when I was a child. Nobody said gay at my school, I can tell you that.
You just knew you were because that's
Yeah,
how that works.
yeah, I figured it out. Gosh, when I was attracted to boys my age, it was clear, even though it was
Mhm.
horrifying to me at the time, but it was still crystal clear. I didn't need anybody to tell me I was. No, thank you. And I can't even imagine what those kids are going through,
Oh my
because
god.
it's such a personal, private thing, and it's so freaky because, being gay, you'll always be a huge minority. You'll always be different. That's
Mhm.
just the reality. So it's like, it's hard. Even when you're a teenager, it's like you already feel different anyways, but now you legitimately are. You get what I'm saying? So it's very
Yeah.
private. It should be private. Something for them to figure out on their own.
Not something that they should be encouraged to come out in 8th grade, or not even 8th grade, like 5th grade we
I
heard
know.
about last. It's like that's gross and disgusting, and, like, leave them
No.
alone, let them be. Like, it's just
No,
so
and
stupid.
if you're doing that, you're actually creating a situation where now straight people are probably gonna have to come out as straight
Yeah.
later, and that's a trauma that a straight person just never needed to go through, or a struggle that a straight person just never needed to go through.
I mean, I think, it's like, for me, I just think that the conversation is like either way, just why do we even have to care? Like, why,
We
like,
don't.
it truly doesn't matter to me. Like, it doesn't, like, it's never mattered to me who someone wants to sleep with, or who they love. Or who,
Right.
it's just like, it should be one of those things like, oh, like, you just are what you are. It's like, oh, Carlin has brown hair today, she has blonde hair tomorrow. I was a blonde for about 15 minutes when I was like, about 10 years ago. Like, it's like changing hair, like, it's like, it's just one of those things like you don't really think about, or
Right.
it bears no relevance. I want to go to a couple super chats
Mhm.
just because one of them has actually an important question that
Yeah.
I want to get you to define. But we want to go to this one first. This is not the one with the question, but well, it has a different question. Duck Queens wants to know, why are liberals in denial about sex trafficking? I don't know that I buy into the premise of this question, and I suspect that you and I define liberal in very different ways. This is one of the issues that I have with conservatives. Is conservatives have completely changed the definition of the term liberal to something that it does not mean. So I don't agree with the premise of the question that liberals are in denial about sex trafficking. I just don't. Um, Michael though says, okay, I need to sleep, but can Alex
Okay.
please define conservative for me? As I think definitions is where so much misunderstandings happens. This was great. Yeah, so can you define, like,
Yeah.
what do you mean when you say conservative? Because I've already seen people in the chat saying he's not a real conservative, Carlin. You need to get a real conservative on the channel. I mean, that was totally predictable, wasn't
Wasn't it?
it?
Well, the thing is, as a conservative, there's kind of two, it's the same with liberals. There's different types of liberals, right? There's a vegan liberal, there's a atheist one, there's different flavors of it. And it's the same thing
Mhm.
with conservatives. So conservatives, there's a fiscal side. So there is more libertarianish, or more like, I want to cut spending, or I want the government to have less power. So that's more of a conservative as well. So it's conserving money, conserving governmental power. So, in the sense of making that as less as possible, conserving the Constitution, right? These different things. And then there is also social conservative. So, social conservative, which I would consider myself, much to their horror, must I say, but I would, because I don't drink, I don't party, I'm not a whore, I don't believe in that stuff, I don't do anything like that.
Mhm.
So I'm probably way more conservative than these people that say I'm not, because I don't do those things. So that's a social conservative.
Mhm.
I don't do anything like that because I value morality. I value that type of stuff. And of course, I'm not saying it should be legislated. I'm not one of those, but that would be a radical conservative, in my opinion. Yeah.
Right.
But I care a lot about morality. I don't steal. I don't do stuff like that.
Mhm.
I don't go to a BLM riot.
I mean, you to me are you strike me as someone like I talk all the time about how like if conservatives actually want to change things, they're not going to do it through legislation, they're going to do it through culture change.
Right.
And I feel like this is a point that conservatives consistently miss. They think that they can just legislate everything, and it just doesn't work that way because
Mhm.
people will always figure out a way to break the law, or even worse yet, conservatives don't win elections because they piss off people like me who voted for them last
Right.
time but won't do it again, and then they don't even get the chance to legislate. And they're and I think that I have a whole lot more respect for someone who lives the values
Right.
and talks about the benefits of the values and things like that, even though like I don't agree. Obviously, like I drink, I do
Right.
stuff. But like everyone should
I know.
but like everyone should be able to like live their own life and
Right.
live it in the way that is best for them. And I want people to hear from you like here are the reasons I don't drink. Here's why I think it's
Right.
important. And then they should be able to make their choice. That to me is actually, to be honest, more of a conservative position because it is about preserving our individual liberties and our freedoms to live our life in whatever way we see fit. And if people make mistakes, maybe hopefully they learn from those mistakes
Yeah.
and they make different choices next time.
To be a conservative is to conserve. Like I said, you're conservative with government power, so you want less. You're conservative with finances, you want less spending. You can even be
Mhm.
conservative with your own finances, which I am. I don't spend money I don't have, by the way, but I'm not a conservative because
Yeah.
I'm gay. But that's stupid.
But I think that this is actually one of the
Yeah.
problems that I have with conservatives is that they do this stuff all the time. I mean, how like it is very like I never even in my when I was a Democrat, the words "you are not a Democrat" or "you are not a liberal" never left my mouth. Never, because it was like it was I don't know, maybe if I just wasn't paying attention or it was just like understood like people have different beliefs.
Yeah,
Like it just is what it
you
is.
could be a pro-life Democrat up to a certain point, not anymore, but in the past you could. You know what I mean? You could be a Democrat but still not support abortion. That was
Mhm.
something that went on forever, like you could be a Democrat that supports gun rights. Not necessarily anymore, but like I said, that's where the left is kind of taking on that
Mhm.
conservative evangelical
Yeah.
nightmarish type of thing, which is why they're losing. It made us lose. It's making them lose too.
I mean, God willing on that one.
I
Um,
hope. Yeah.
so so why are conservatives so I heard you say, and I think that this is a, really fair point that, you think that conservatives are actually much more emotional than they believe that they are, and part of the reason that they don't do anything is that they are so emotional about it that they almost, like, they get stuck in the like, this, like, "I wanna do stuff, but I don't know what to do." Um, but then I have to say, it's like you have people like I won't even say me because obviously like, this is something I've been screaming about. But like you'll have people like Brandon Strauch, who does consider himself to be a conservative, but he tries so hard all
I
the
know.
time to get people to show up and to do something. And he always like he gets so like when there's a victory with Walkaway, like it's like the most exciting thing in the world because I remember when we had our rally in Beverly Hills last year, and I think Brandon's gonna be planning another rally there. I'm in exactly the same place in 2020. It was the best day ever because we had just had a really crappy rally the week before, or a couple weeks before in Baltimore, and we showed up in Beverly Hills, and there were 1,000 people there, and it was amazing, and it was so fun. It was such a happy
Mhm.
moment. But one of the things that made it such a happy moment is the rarity with which people actually showed up. So it was even more ecstatic because it was like the anomaly of conservatives actually showing up and doing something. And so, while I can understand the deeply personal nature of it and why, like from a psychological level, they
Mhm.
might just like freeze, just from a purely practical level, I just don't understand it because it's like, I don't know why conservatives believe that they can literally stay at home and say nothing to no one about their beliefs and not go to rallies, not try in any way, and they think they're going to win elections doing that. I mean, maybe the question is, do conservatives even care about winning elections?
Um, I think that there could be a couple things. Sometimes I'll call it toxic conservatism, okay? Because sometimes you can, as a conservative, you can sort of conserve things that are bad. So,
Mhm.
for one, you can conserve Democrats being in power, for example. A sort of toxic conservative mindset would be, oh my gosh, I'm so scared if a Republican wins, then things might change. So I'm just going to be as nasty as possible, tell everybody not to vote for the person or stay home and stay safe. I'm going to do everything the Democrats say and do nothing. And I guess own nothing and be happy because I don't want anything to change. And that's very toxic. And
Mhm.
I think that that comes from a lot of different things, but it's also the whole thing of like a conservative never wants to fail. They don't want to try and then fail. That's very hard. And it was just as hard for me. But again, I kind of was already thrown out with the bathwater because I'm gay. So I already was not going to be perfect. I already was not going to not fail as a conservative because I can be not alcoholic, never do drugs, not spend money I don't have, be very moralistic, even judgmental. I'm going to be honest. Sometimes I can be very judgmental about morals,
Mhm.
even to that extent. But because I'm gay, I'm not really a conservative. I voted Republican my whole life. I've grown up in evangelical church. I My family has been conservative for generations, at least 3 generations, but I'm not a conservative because I'm
Mhm.
gay. So when you hear the insanity of these people that say that, when they really if they were to really think about what they're actually saying, that's literally nuts. That is actually insane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I completely agree with you, and it's one of the things that boggles my mind because, again, like, I'm an extremely I don't know if you guys have noticed, I'm an extremely goal-oriented person. Where, I actually want to do stuff, like, I build businesses, I implement programs, I genuinely want people to get whatever they want, but I also judge people based on their behaviors, and so, I don't listen to what people say they want because
Mhm.
oftentimes people will say, "I want to win elections." Okay, so the goal is you wanna win elections, and then they sit home and they whine and complain about how abused they are by society and they don't do anything. And so I always look at the person's behavior and I'm like, does your behavior tell me that you want to win an election? No, because you are not following the steps that are required
Right.
by pure logic and common sense in order to win an election. So can we just please be honest about
Right.
what you really want? Because to me, and this is not directed at you, this is more directed at the conservatives that do this. Like, to me, if I look at the behavior of someone that doesn't speak up, doesn't talk to their friends about what they want, doesn't have a sign in their yard, won't wear their
Mhm.
MAGA hat outside, will only go to Trump rallies where they will only be around other people who agree with them, like, that is not someone that to me is behaving in a way
Right.
that tells me they wanna win elections.
Right. And so I think it comes from reputation, which I have told you that in the
Mhm,
Zoom, that a lot of conservatives are very, very obsessed with representation, or actually representation as well, but also reputation. So they don't
mhm,
like that I'm on here because I'm gay, but I'm representing conservatives, but I'm not a
mhm.
real conservative because I'm gay. That's
Right.
why they're upset. But it's
Or
because they care about how they're seen, which I guess, let me just say this,
yeah.
conservatives that are saying this in the chat, do you want to be seen as an asshole and a loser? Because that is how you're being seen. I'm
Yeah.
going to be honest. That's what you're being seen as. If you care about your reputation, you're not even acting in a way to make it good. It's
Yeah.
a bad reputation.
And this is one of the issues that I've had because it is all about presentation, but this just a very specific type of presentation. Conservatives have a like, if you go to CPAC, like, conservatives have a very specific type of way that they dress. They have a very specific type of showmanship. Like, it's a little cheesy for my taste, to be honest. This is part of the reason I fit in much better with the libertarians because I look at someone in like a three-piece, like, perfectly tailored suit with the pockets square and the perfectly shined shoes, and I'm like, "What do you want?" Like that's my initial reaction to anyone like that is immediate distrust of the situation. But like that's just part of like conservative culture is like this
Yeah.
presentation, but that also leads to things like Lauren Witzke,
Ugh.
who like is like the thin blonde Republican nominee for Senate in Delaware, who has turned into an absolute crazy person since
Right.
that election, is like on this crazy conservative Christian channel, but is it like a legit overt white identitarian, says some of the
Literally.
craziest stuff like you like she is not a conservative. She is not
No,
even a
she's
good
not.
person.
No.
And she claims to represent God and all this stuff. She literally called for my husband to be deported on Twitter. And so it's like this is not, and that happened to me in the time when conservatives were saying, "Oh, GTFO, you're not wanted here." I was like, "Okay, if you would choose Lauren Witzke over me
Right.
because she's thin and blonde, you are not serious people."
Because she's pretty and
She's
they want to be
pretty.
represented by pretty. And I will just say to you, you're like an SJW. That's an SJW that looks up to a celebrity because, it's whatever woke celebrity saying something. You're Katy Perry, you're Taylor Swift, which I have, which I do love her music. That's why I have it up. But anyway,
You're allowed to like her music.
she doesn't put woke in her music. Thank God. So I'm okay because
Mhm.
she's just very business savvy. She
Wide
would,
Awake is one of my favorite songs ever. I will listen to that
yeah.
song on repeat when I'm having a good cry about like someone that I've lost in my life.
Well, you'd like her because she's all new agey and crystals and
Yes.
all the whole thing. She's very liberal as well, but that's okay. But she always was. So I can at least give her that. She was pro gay when it wasn't popular, so to speak.
Mhm.
So I can respect her on that. But anyways, she's pretty wild. But I would say like Lauren Witzke, she involved with crimes? Isn't she a criminal?
Yes, she was a drug trafficker. Yes.
So
Yes.
she's a conservative, but she's a drug trafficker. She's
Mhm.
not married. She doesn't have any kids or anything. There's nothing like that. She's in her mid 30s, just fishing for clout and money, clicks and likes and views,
Yeah.
just being a provocateur. But that's a conservative.
And but this is the problem though. It's like and this is why I get so frustrated with conservatives because I'm like I want to just go like wake up.
Right.
Like what are you doing? Like the country is going to fall apart. You're
Yeah.
going to lose every major election. The left is going to win. We are slowly going to descend into socialism because you guys are more concerned with a blonde lady than you are with a winning an election. And this is and again, I hear you when you say it's deeply personal to them, but like things that I care a lot about, I don't know if this is still a thing from the left, but things that I care deeply about, I fight for. And maybe and I firmly believe right now that I am on the losing side of the culture war. I firmly believe that we are going to lose the culture war. And I thank God that I live in New Hampshire because I don't think it's going to impact me as much as it's going to impact everyone else in the country. But I firmly believe I'm on the losing side. I think we are fighting an insurmountable battle. And I'm like, well, if I'm gonna go down, I'm gonna go down kicking. I'm not gonna sit back in my easy chair and just like let it happen around me. And so, even though I think that we are going to lose, I still get up every single
Yeah.
day and fight. And I don't understand why they won't do the same if it's true that they deeply care about
Right.
these issues.
And they do, but like I said, it's hard. And again, my question to my fellow conservatives is what is more important to you? Your politics or your reputation? Because you're not going to have both. So you
Mhm.
need to make a decision because if this is deeply personal to you, I'm sorry, you're going to get canceled at some point. You're going to have to deal with it. I did. I did. But I survived. That's why I'm on here. Honestly, I don't think I would be doing this if I hadn't, but I could never fit into what the mold they said it had to be. But I knew in my heart, I'm a conservative. Of course I am,
Mhm.
and so I'm not going to change just because they have a problem. Like you said, they're probably not even a conservative. If anything, you're working for the left. You're trying to tell me that I'm not one. You're trying to get me to not vote for Republicans. I mean, you're a Democrat. You're basically a Democrat. You are working for the other side.
So it sounds like to me that you get just as frustrated with conservatives as I do, and it's like, and it's like, you know, again, I've
Mhm.
given up on them at this point. I'm like, you guys are going to be lazy and not do anything, and like whatever. And I just don't know. What do you think? Like, will it take to snap them out of this?
Well, let's continue the story. So
Okay, okay, we gotta go. Actually,
when
can we
it
do it? I'm gonna do a few
oh,
super
yes,
chats real quick. Sorry, they have nothing to do with our conversation. So let me just plug them in here. Naruto says Texas Governor Greg Abbott just announced plans to bus illegal immigrants to Washington D.C. Well, I guess that's a nice
that's
trolley
fighting
move.
back a little,
I'll
yeah.
give Greg Abbott credit where credit is due. Duck Queens has returned with a more specific question with better language. Why do Democrats not take actions against human trafficking, sex slavery? Democrats don't care. Like, I
Yeah.
think, like, I mean,
They
just to
don't
be
care about children.
like, to be really blunt about it, Democrats
Mhm.
do not care.
Why
Like,
did they mask children for 2 years?
yeah,
They don't care about kids.
they don't care
They
about
don't care.
kids, and I wanna make the point too that the reason, because I know I saw you complaining in the chat that I didn't answer your question, Democrats and liberals are not the same thing.
Right.
They're not. Gotta be specific in your language. Alright, returning to the story, Alex.
Okay. So obviously 2020. So
Mhm,
2020 as a year, it will probably go down in history as I hope it's the most traumatic year for conservatives in this country. I mean, we went into it so strong, so optimistic. The economy was booming. They were doing a stupid freaking uh, what's it called? Impeachment. That was such a sham, and it made them look like crap. It made the Democrats look stupid and petty and dumb, especially because it was an election year. And it was like, just do the election thing, you know? Like, you could get him out if you really wanted to. Why are you trying to force him out? You're trying to not give the American people a decision, right? That was the impression of Democrats at the time.
mhm.
And then I think what conservatives didn't understand is that the panorama happened.
The panorama, I
That's
like
what I
it.
call it for censorship reasons. For Susan,
Mhm.
um, hey girl, no, I'm just kidding. No, she's watching. No, but I call it the panorama. And when that happens, if anything bad happens, especially if it's major, which is why a lot of people think, let's just say there's a lot of tinfoil hattery about this whole thing.
Yes.
Because when anything really bad like that happens, the president gets blamed. So I think going into 2020, it was a shoo-in, absolute shoo-in. I don't think there was anything they could have done.
Mhm.
But after that happened, it was in danger. And I think conservatives did not understand that. When the economy is doing bad, when there's riots, when there's all these different things happening, and there were so many psyops, quite frankly, at that year, the Democrat Party, they churned everything out they could ever think of. I mean, and they abused an entire population. It wasn't just Dems, it was also rhinos too.
Oh, yeah. Oh, they all did. Yeah.
Yeah. The establishment basically abused all of us and tried to beat us into submission with this whole thing. And the thing is that when that is happening, you have to fight back even harder than they are. Period. And when Carlin was saying, get up, go out, do this, like I wanted to, but I didn't live anywhere where there was a rally. I would have went.
Mhm.
I was on my Instagram. I listened. I did. I listened to you. I was like, we have to win this election. Like, we have to. I mean, because I didn't want all this to happen. Look at what has happened. This is
Yeah.
exactly what I wanted to prevent. So I was like, oh my gosh, I got on my Instagram. My boyfriend is kind of progressive. Obviously, I mean, gosh, gay dating, they're almost always a progressive. It's unfortunate, but I still make it work. But you just got to choose a good person. Somebody's politics doesn't make them a good or bad person.
Exactly.
So, anyways, I was like,
Wait, can I tell you a funny story about that real quick? Okay.
yeah, no,
Just because like I like so I got my I track my red pilling via my Facebook memories. And last night I got a Facebook memory that popped up from 2013 in which I said to my husband, I said to him, "Do you know who Bernie Sanders is?" And he said, "No." And I said, "He's a senator from Vermont and he is a socialist. And so that basically makes him your people." And Victor's response was, "No, it doesn't." And I was like, this is like the epitome of like when I should have known my husband was more conservative than I thought he was. But like, Victor and I just never talked about politics, so I really had no idea. So no, you don't actually have to share political values with
No,
the person that you
you,
marry.
you don't. No, and I mean, the thing is my boyfriend's Australian, so
Mhm.
which you can just imagine how traumatic
Oh
that has been.
god, yes.
Good Lord, it was traumatic. You
Mhm.
don't even know. Which again, I am like, I'm not a woman, but I do have very feminine brain, and I have definitely been scorned. So I can tell you, it may not be as bad as when a woman is scorned, but it's probably pretty damn close. I am
Mhm.
pissed. So, anyways, um, they the whole thing. I'm trying to think of where I was before. Oh, um, even he was just like he was getting horrified because I was just, oh man, I was going hard for Trump. Like you don't even know. Like
Mhm.
I got on my stream. I have like 300 subscribers on my channel. I was on there, MAGA hat. This is why I'm voting for him.
Oh.
Talking points. I fucking did it every single day almost. I was trying so hard. I actually had some videos go like not viral, but like had more views, because I
Mhm.
was talking about political stuff. Like, and I wasn't even wanting to be a political channel, or I wasn't sure, you know what I mean? I was just like, ugh, but I'm like, it doesn't matter. Like everything has to be thrown to the side because at the
Right,
same
that's how
time,
I felt too. I was like, it doesn't like nothing else matters right now. We can bicker later.
right? Like, I can just be a writer and an artist when Trump's in, and the economy isn't going to go to the total shitter. But
Mhm.
that didn't happen, obviously. But the point is, like, I really did it. And a lot of people in my life were really irritated because it was like nonstop. Like, and I just didn't care. It's like, this is more important. Like, I have to try to do something. So when you were saying that, it's like, I didn't go to a rally. I wanted to, but I
But
didn't
you
have the
but
money.
but you did something, and this
I
is the
did what
thing.
I
You
could
did what you could, you know?
on my Instagram daily, constantly. This is why no to Joe, blah, 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 blah. Constant, constant, constant. I mean, I think, like I said, it drove my boyfriend nuts actually, and we had a huge fight about the election. Um, well, it wasn't that huge, but it was, he was irritated. But because he's Australian, I think it's just different. If he was American, then he probably would have, I don't know what would have happened. He probably would have went ballistic on me. But when you're in another country, it's just different. You view it differently. The stakes are a little less high for him, obviously. But anyways, that's what I'm saying. Like I didn't care about my reputation because I wanted to win. And that's what it takes. Unfortunately, conservatives, you drop the ball, you let the culture go to weird loony land where now, if you're just a conservative, now you're going to be canceled for it because you let that happen.
Mhm.
And you let that happen because you said things like, this person isn't a conservative because they're gay. That's why you lose. That is
Yes.
a losing thing. Loser. You're a
Yes.
loser. You are a loser and an asshole.
Mhm.
That's what it is.
And here's the other thing that pisses me off about this is every single time they do this crap, they spit in the face of people like you who you tried. You tried. And to me, like, trying and I hear you saying that conservatives don't try because they're afraid they will fail. Trying and failing to me is significantly better than never
Yeah.
trying at all, or trying and doing it imperfectly, or trying and only getting part of it right. And it's like you tried and that's all that matters. And I feel like every single time someone says you're not a real conservative, or every single time someone just like whines and complains and tries to expel people from their political party, it's like you are spitting in the face of people who are giving of themselves to you to try to win, who are you got in a huge fight with your boyfriend about it. There were personal repercussions. I
Mhm.
was canceled by my family and friends. It's like it is infuriating to me that they don't understand that not only are they not doing anything to win, but they are actually undermining the people who are
Yeah.
trying to win.
Yes, I agree. And to me, it's like and again, I had red pilled, right? I don't think everybody on the right has, so I don't think everybody gets it, but I'm hoping 2020 was a moment for the right because again, the things that you said after he lost, which it was devastating. I was devastated.
I was
And
devastated too.
yeah, like I could cry literally thinking about it right now. Like I was devastated. Like, and when he left office, I was just as devastated that day when he was, when fucking Biden was inaugurated. It was just as sad. And I remember like all the pages and stuff, they posted like the highlight reels of his presidency, and I was just like, gosh, like it was such a magical time. Like it really was.
I
Just
remember,
like,
were
yeah.
you on the last community Zoom call that we had before Biden got inaugurated and Trump left office?
I
Because
hadn't joined. I
you
hadn't.
hadn't joined yet. This was probably in the history of locals, probably the most emotional community Zoom call ever. And in my locals, people don't understand. Like there is a variety of political
Yeah.
opinion in my locals. Like not everyone's conservative, not everyone's libertarian, not every, like there it's all over the
Mhm.
spectrum. People were crying,
Yeah.
and why people were so upset was because, and I was frankly, I was having some feelings about the whole situation, and what made people so upset was the fact that Trump wasn't even given a chance to be successful. He wasn't even given a chance.
You're gonna make me cry.
And it was like, but
Oh my-
it was a really emotional thing. And again, like so I
yeah.
completely, like I cried when Trump got elected, and then I cried again when Trump left office. And so it was like an
That's trippy.
emotional thing. And so and so I can have respect for that, but at
Mhm.
the same time, like it's kind of like when you have a really bad breakup, you're like,
Yeah.
okay, you can be upset for a little while, you can eat your Ben and Jerry's, you can moan and grumble on the couch, you can watch romantic movies in your bathrobe, you can mourn the loss of this relationship, but at some point
Yeah.
you need to get up off the couch, you need to go back to the gym, you need to like take a shower, get yourself in
Exactly.
order, and live your life and live to fight another day. And I just feel like that hasn't happened with conservatives yet.
Yeah. Well, I think the thing is, like, I had a realization, I think it was after January 6th, or something. I don't know. It was at some point early in 2021. And I cried. I actually was vlogging on my channel at that time, and I cried in a video because I was just like, the left is gone. When
Mhm.
we needed them, they always talk about rights and all this crap. But when the panorama came and the government overreached and we had zero freedom and zero rights, they were gone. There was silence
Oh
from the
yeah.
left. Nothing. We don't have a left wing in this country anymore. That's how I felt. And it was like, it's not that I am a left winger because I'm not, I'm not definitely, but it's like, that's the activist side. You know what I mean? That's just, it's different. It's a different psychology. It's different brain waves. It's a different way of thinking. And to me, it was like, I just had this realization where I'm like, I'm a conservative, and I am deeply a conservative, and I have to change the culture. I have to actually make change happen. And
Mhm.
it's so unnatural to me to do that. I mean, think about the fact I conserved my relationship over this whole panorama with
Mhm.
him being in another country where I was not allowed to see him. I could not go there at all. And even now, the financial things that are happening make it incredibly difficult.
Yeah.
It's another thing Democrats are fucking over for me
Yeah.
beyond. And so it's like when you see all this stuff that has gone down, it's like, it's without words. Like I said, I even kind of lost where I was going, but because it's very emotional for me. It's very passionate. It's very much like I care about this a lot. And it's not even just about me, right? But what I went through with it was horribly traumatic. And when I think of the children that are going to have speech issues now because of the masks that were useless, when I think about all this stuff that is going on with the schools. I think about Gen Z and how they were deprived of early college experiences or college experiences that they'll never get back. When
Mhm.
I was 19, I was out in Hollywood. I was going to concerts. Maybe I had one drink.
Ooh,
Gosh,
scandal.
nobody knew. But
Alex
still,
had a margarita one time.
I had a limerita. But the point is, like, I got to do all that and they don't. It's been taken from them. And I feel even worse for the young because they're never going to get that time back. It's just horrible. I can't imagine being a child and not being able to go on a slide at a playground because of restrictions for no reason. It
Yeah.
was just a big psyop because all the Democrats care about is power. That's all they care about. They will kill everybody, literally. The actions they took, I'm sure it increased the amount of deaths, then lowered it. And we don't even know the psychological consequences, the addiction consequences, people losing their businesses. People act like the economy doesn't matter. I will never forget how many times I heard the left say that in 2020. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Your business doesn't matter. You're just privileged. That's a complete lack of compassion.
And again, I completely agree with you. I think that
Right.
the left is far more dangerous, but it's just like again, it's like I don't
Yes.
understand this mentality of just like, okay, well, and the thing of it is too is like they always buy into the definitions that the left gives them. It's like, well,
Right.
well, they're going to call us racist anyway, so I mean, like why should we even do anything? And it's like, okay, why are you playing their game? I don't
Right.
get it at all. Let me just do some
Mhm.
super chats again. Sorry to keep interrupting. Emphasize not the topic of the conversation, but since you talk like you know what a woman is, what is a woman? Do you want to take a stab?
A woman is an adult human female
Yep.
that, but it's deeper than that. There's also spiritual aspects to being a woman as well, in my opinion.
Mhm.
Um, And again, like in the relationship, I would be the woman in the relationship. I have a feminine mind, feminine brain waves. I still am a man though. So if I talk to a hot guy, all the brain, like all the blood leaves here and it goes somewhere else. I can't
Ah!
think. I swear. I can't. I cannot. And thank God I don't have a period. But, I had to grieve that I would never get pregnant. I
Mhm.
accepted biological reality and I cared about, like, I always was fascinated with that, and that will never
Mhm.
happen, obviously, because I'm not delusional.
Right.
But I think it's, a woman is, like I said, it's a lot of different things, but primarily it's somebody that has a vag.
Yeah. No, no, I will concur with that answer. I also think that everyone has a perfect balance of masculine and feminine energy,
We have,
because, like,
yeah,
everyone has both. Everyone has both
we do.
now, and I think that, what we have between our legs is oftentimes the least interesting thing about us. Um, AM says, "Conservatives suck at building culture. It takes a ton of creativity. There will be no conservative side without winning people over in the middle." This is where I'm at right now. I agree with this. I think that I think that the only way that we can possibly win the culture war is by winning over people in the middle. What do you think about that?
So I will say there are a lot of creative conservatives as well, and they have been.
There are
uh,
creative conservatives. The
mhm,
memeing is fucking great.
right.
Yeah.
But there's also algorithmic demotion, Hollywood blacklisting, right? These different things that are actual barriers to conservative artists, musicians,
Mhm.
it's completely corporate controlled. For example, Hollywood is the same, so they either have to completely get in the closet basically as a conservative or it won't happen. But
Mhm.
I think things could change with the internet and stuff, but it takes, again, I am a conservative creative person. I can actually bring it up. So I've written books, for
Yeah.
example. So I've written books of short stories. I have my own face on the cover. This is my
I love it.
I'm not a feminist anymore book. That was what that sad face was. And then this one was my 2018, 2019. I wrote them about my life and, they're kind of like anthologies and stuff about different things. But conservatives are creative. I'm a conservative and I'm creative. There's a lot of Christian artists, for example. That's not true. There's a lot of conservative Christian
Oh
musicians, for
god, there's so
example.
many
Yeah.
these mega churches had they have their own in-house bands and they're
Right.
amazing. And it's like, oh my, it's like there are all these there's a whole Christian music industry.
Literally. So
Yeah.
it's like you can't say that necessarily. But what I told people in the Zoom is it's not so much about conservatives need to not worry about being canceled in as much as they need to uncancel themselves. So you need to show up. you need to promote your stuff. You need to speak out and speak up and basically put your stuff out there if you are creative, especially as a conservative. Not that there's anything wrong with a liberal or libertarian creative person, but that sort of creativity is not represented at all. And that creates a lack of balance in society. So you have a societal duty to share your perspective and to put it out there. I write stories with characters that are Christian, for example. How many times do you see that? Almost never. There are so many Christians in this country. And by our media, you would think there's nobody Christian here. Or or the whole thing of, they act like everybody is gay and trans on all the TV shows. That's not true. Like, I can tell you as a gay person, almost always I'm the only gay person in a room. Almost always. So it's just not true.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. And even with Gen Z, I think a lot of them that identify as such, they aren't.
No, I don't think. I think they're doing it. Well, I think that I think that they probably believe that they are.
Right.
But I think
Just
that
like
they're.
a lot of gay people believe that they're straight for a while too, right? But now you're gonna have straight people coming out later. It's gonna be pretty cringy. But
I mean, so Joshua thinks that pretty much everyone is like bisexual, and it's just a matter of like how many drinks you've had on any given night. Or the right person comes along, you're like, I didn't know I was a lesbian until like whatever. But like, and generally speaking, I do actually think that there's some validity to that. But I think hey, you know what? Listen, I actually don't think that this type of experimentation is bad. Maybe some boys who turn out to be straight will explore and find out that they like
well,
some
I
things
would
women
say,
may, like Jack Murphy.
oh God. I would no judgment, whatever. If you want to be a Christian, you're fine. You reformed, whatever. But
Yeah.
I would say, I would disagree. I'd be like, it's not good to be a whore. I don't agree with that, right? So I
I
don't
didn't
agree
say
with
be a whore. I just said experiment and find yourself.
it's not good to be promiscuous, in my opinion.
All
But
right.
I have one of my best friends is super promiscuous. Oh my God. I mean, of course, I'm gay. I have a gay best friend. Like, duh, I'm gonna know somebody who's promiscuous in the gay community. I mean, come on. But but yeah, I do think it's sinful to use the words. But not everybody's Christian though. That's what people don't get too. It's like you can't judge somebody if they're not Christian. Like, that's not biblical either.
Yeah.
So
Exactly. We got a few more super chats. Emphasize says you like the protections you are fighting against. Emphasize, I don't know what that means, but thank you for the super chat. Let's see, there's a couple more. Sam says, for conservatives, community plus family is greater than government. I can agree with that. How do you feel about that?
yeah, I would even say for a typical conservative, it's also more important than money too. Not for a conservative influencer, that's definitely not true. But but for a typical conservative person, I would say it is more important than money and government, basically.
And Naruto says, fun fact, FDR is the one who coined the term conservative. Well, that didn't work out so well, I don't think, for us on that end. All right. Okay. So we talked about how conservatives have like have many feelings about politics. Why they might not speak up is because they're having so many feelings about politics. We've talked about how they are stupid for trying to kick people out of their movement who don't pass their conservative purity test.
Yes.
What else is on the list of things we
So,
need to explore? We've talked about how right I am about every possible thing, which of course I appreciate in my month of narcissism.
so what I will say is, hold on, there's this
All right.
annoying beeping and I need my mom to push it. For the record, I'm not like certain people. I actually pay more than my mom does. So
Oh.
I'm not like other people that have said certain things on certain sites. Anyways.
Wow.
That's enough sass. Anyway.
We can get a little. We're getting into. We're about to enter the second hour and a half of the stream. So I feel like we can get more sassy in the back
Okay.
half of the stream.
we can get sassy then. So now I'm going to talk about the part that Carlin will just love
Oh, good.
because she loves when conservatives say what is wrong with being a conservative. So now, as a liberal, she would love that, wouldn't she? So here's the part where it's time to eat some crow. Okay.
Mhm.
When it comes to conservatives, the things that they have done wrong is oh my gosh. Okay. Can I just come back in just
Yeah,
a
you can
second?
you can you
Okay.
can go come back. I'll pull
Super deep
myself on the
breathing.
stream. Guys, we're gonna be continuing the conversation with Alex in just a second. He is taking care of a rogue fire alarm because I know this situation because my rogue fire alarm woke me up on Sunday when I was supposed to sleep in, and Victor, being the best husband in the world, heard the rogue fire alarm and went to the store and got batteries so the rogue fire alarm would shut the F up and I could go back to sleep. And Alex is back. Oh, add to stream. There he is. And guys, mount that like button if you are enjoying the conversation already. Oh, wait, I muted you, Alex. Hang on. I'm unmuting you. Oh no. Oh, I didn't. Okay, you're back.
Okay. Okay. My back. I'm good. I'm
Yeah.
clear.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So here's the part where it's time to eat some crow. So this is going to be a part that a lot of conservatives are not going to like, but if they really think about it, they will agree. That's what I'm going to say.
Mm-hmm.
So the issue is, first and foremost, a lot of what is happening right now is it's a backlash. It's the left backlashing against the right because of things that the right did, particularly in the 2000s. So if you're looking at any like crazy unhinged feminist or whatever that's in their mid 30s and younger, this is what they're backlashing against. It's the 2000s. So the thing is, I have a story that is a perfect example of what conservatives were doing at the time. So I always say both sides were nasty in the 2000s. Like people were very judgmental back then. They were very harsh, and all this stuff. And like I'll say, just to soften the blow, the left was like homophobic in the 2000s. I'm just going to say it's true. They were still definitely.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, Obama didn't support gay marriage.
right.
Yeah.
The super anti-fat thing. I mean, oh my Lord Jesus, if you were fat in the 2000s, we should get a survival shirt if anybody was. I was fat in the 2000s. It was horrible. And just a lot of different things like that. Okay, from the left. The left was also super anti-religion, and they were very nasty if they were atheists, especially
But
super
that
nasty.
but that was a backlash to the moral majority.
Right.
Yeah.
Which I'm again,
Yeah.
but I have to acknowledge that the right was worse. They were at the time. And the thing is that the right was just so judgmental about everything in the 2000s. I mean, every single thing. You heard what I said, our conversations. Oh my gosh, Joe got drunk one time. Like he can't lead the youth group anymore. Oh my gosh, they don't feel good enough because they're not a virgin. Blah, blah, blah. This type of stuff was going on deep in the 2000s. It was deep and it was
Mm-hmm.
pervasive. And all these conservatives that are like, oh, I could never speak up. I could never do this. Oh, well, you had no issue speaking up then, honey.
Yeah. That's true.
I
That is
mean,
so true.
they
I
were
didn't even think of
burning the
that.
Dixie Chick
Oh,
album.
yes.
They burned it. They said, get out of here. You're disgusting. They canceled. There was
Mhm.
cancellation. The right
Mhm.
began cancel culture. And it began with the moral majority. And by the 2000s, it was a machine. The right canceled a lot of people back
And you know
then.
what they say to me every single time I bring up this point? They're like, "Carlin, that wasn't conservatives, that was Tipper Gore." I'm like, "No, no, 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 no. I
Yeah,
remember
it
what
was
happened.
conservative.
It was conservatives."
And I get some of it. Like, I know the Dixie Chicks thing, it was like because of 9/11, and it was very touchy at that time. Like, you could not say anything that was anti-war at that time. It was just a very touchy subject. Like, you hate
Oh.
America. Yeah.
Oh, I
You're
remember, and this was my real introduction to conservatives right here because I
yeah,
was extremely against the war. I
right.
was extremely against it. I was protesting on the Common. I had all the anti-George W. Bush shirts. I still to this day have in my basement a George W. Bush pants on fire doll that someone gave me as a gag gift. Like a liar liar pants on fire doll.
Right.
And it's just like conservatives were awful to anyone who opposed the war in Iraq and Afghanistan.
That's what I'm trying to say, and the people don't remember that, but it was true, and, it's very cruel, like, when I think about the Dixie Chicks, for example, like, just because they disagreed on a political action that was taken by the leader at the time, which this is a country where we you have a right to disagree, especially with policy. I mean, that wasn't even something super touchy like abortion or, even gayness or whatever. Like, it wasn't even touchy like that. It was just literally like, this is a policy I disagree with. That was like, it would be like saying, I really don't like uh, having lower taxes. I don't know. It would be something like that. It's on that level. I mean, of course, they cared about it a lot more, but the point is, like, it's just a policy position. I don't support, it'd be like saying I don't support the sanctions right now.
Right.
People have a right to feel that way. It's what's happening. Maybe you agree with it, maybe you don't. Or I don't support the lockdowns. People have a right to feel that way. That is a policy. Of course, the left, like I said, they've way beyond appropriated the negative sides of conservatism, and they're actually like conservative times 10 in my opinion. But the point is, like, at the time, to take the Dixie Chicks, who were artists, they were country musicians, they were very much involved with the South and with conservatives, and there was like a real love between the two because they said one thing that they didn't like. Conservatives all over the country burned their albums and they lost everything. They didn't have a career anymore. That was vicious. And one of the examples of this that I saw was in my favorite band at the time was Paramore.
I used to like Paramore.
Paramore was perfect for I'm artsy, but I'm also at youth group because they were Christian. It was just perfect. And Lil Miss Haley, she was a liberal, which, okay, fine, you're a liberal, right? But she's a Southern liberal. She's from Tennessee. I mean, she's not extreme, especially not back then, not at all. Deeply religious. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Super normal. And the thing is that the lead guitarist, his name is Josh, and he was super conservative and super right wing, very, very much that way. And things between them got ugly. And I remember this. It was around it was 2010. I was devastated because they split. They were my favorite band ever. I mean, it was just horrible for me. I cried and everything. But I was like 18, so
it happened.
And I had just went to their concert and I was like, you broke up. It was horrible. But basically, what he did is he went online and he wrote a blog about how, everything was all about Haley and she did this and she did that. And she had fought with the industry to keep her friends in the band. So they just wanted her. They were like, screw them. We just want you. She literally advocated for her friends. She said, no, I want them in the band. They're my friends. That's my band. I'm a band. I'm not a singer. I'm not going to be an Avril Lavigne. She said, like, she didn't want to do that. She wanted to be in a band and she loved her friends. She loved them or whatever. And the thing is like, basically, she wrote some lyrics that he didn't like. There's a specific song. It said, like, it's on their album that came out in 2009. It said, the truth never set me free, so I did it myself. It's an interesting line, but it's not biblical. Okay. And so he got triggered and he tried to let it go. But the thing is she also, now this is going to be really, really edgy. Okay.
Uh-oh.
She smoked weed.
The devil's lettuce.
She did.
Oh no.
And that was just horrible to him. And all this stuff, right? And she hung out with that riffraff, those pot smokers. How dare she? Blah, 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 right? So he does this split and he announced it before she was ready. Then he goes on a blog and says, this is all manufactured crap. This band is not in line with my Christian conservative values. This is all bullshit, blah, blah, blah. Literally just destroyed the band, okay? Like really ripped her a new one, okay? And the thing is it's like he had zero appreciation for anything that she had done for him. There was no acknowledgement of anything. It was very nasty. She sicked a whole bunch of things. He took a huge amount of fans and he said, I'm going to start a new band and fuck all this and blah, blah. He didn't say fuck because that would have been a sin.
Oh, that would, yeah,
But
of course.
yeah, he said, I'm not going to do this and blah, blah, blah. And guess what? He never started a band.
Of course.
Of course.
Because he's conservative. He doesn't do anything. He just whines and complains and then goes home. He takes his toys and go home.
Because he needed a liberal to actually put it in motion and get it going.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the issue. And the thing that happened was she was devastated. She was never the same. And I watched as the years went by, she devolved into an SJW. And I guarantee you it is exactly because of that experience.
I completely agree with you that it's that experience. I mean, I've been saying a lot lately, like Republicans make more or conservatives make more Democrats. And it is exactly the same thing. It's like I get so disillusioned with the amount of bullshit from conservatives that I absolutely understand why people go to the other side. I mean, it's like it's as clear as day to me. It's like you're treating them awfully. You're not even trying, and I'm not saying this to you, I'm saying this to the
Mhm.
people who do this sort of stuff. Like you're treating them really, really horrendously. You're not taking the time to try to understand their perspective at all. You're telling them that they have to live their life by your values. Like, fuck off.
Right.
No.
Which even at the time, I actually wrote a blog about it, which is so funny, but I didn't agree with them. I didn't agree with Josh for doing that, even back
Mhm.
then. So, because I was just like, he does not appreciate anything that she's done. Like, I couldn't even believe it. And the band was never the same, you know, and not to be shaded towards Haley, but like with Josh there, they had a 2-year band, 2-year album schedule. It was done every 2 years. But without him, it wasn't. It was 4 years. And then they died. That's why the band didn't last. That's why it just really went down because she was very creative, right? As a liberal, she was very creative, very interesting. She was the charismatic one. She would get all the stuff going, but she didn't necessarily tie down the scheduling and all that stuff, whereas he did.
Mhm.
And that's the balance. And so I kind of see like it taught me when I reflect on it. The fact of the matter is, conservative versus liberal, that's not how the parties are split anymore. It's not really how society is split anymore. What's really happening is it's much more about populism versus globalism. That is the true divide right now. So, on the populist side, which is Trump, he came in and we have a lot of ex Democrats that came in with him. And ever since, the Republican side has been changing because of people like Trump, because people even like Brandon Strzok and, you know, just a lot of walkaways and just a lot of different things have been changing it. And it was beautiful and it was working very well. And what conservatives don't get is that's why Democrats hated it so much because it was working. They don't want you to win. They hate you. They
Mhm.
literally hate your guts. So they're going to tell you everything to make you lose. So what they then do is we have 2021 come in and you have this huge, weird psyop, weird thing going on where a lot of conservatives feel just as defeated, which we know how we feel about certain things. I don't need to get in on it, like on
Right.
into it on the stream, but you know, you're buying into the psyop. That's all I can say. And the thing is they say, oh, well, we lost because we were more accepting. We lost because we we accepted gay people. We lost because we were okay with atheists. We lost because we have a more libertarian wing in the party, which makes zero sense. I mean, if you really think about it intuitively, you lost because you have more people. And they say, oh, well, evangelicals didn't vote for it because blah, blah, blah. But that's even worse. Why
That
would you not vote?
well, that's exactly right. It's like so if you're a conservative or a Republican that is upset that you lost and you didn't vote, like that's your fault. I'm sorry. Like that's your fault.
Right. It's
And
like,
I fully believe, and I'll even say it. Like I don't believe Joe Biden got 81 million votes in any way, shape, or form.
well, that's what the
But
narrative says.
I was also livid when Lynn Wood went out and told conservatives not to vote.
I
because
know.
it's like again, you're giving up before you even try. And it's just like, and I don't understand this attitude. Like, and again, I come back to the fact, like, if it's so important to you that it's creating all these feelings, and you can't bring yourself to go and vote because
At
you're
least.
upset that libertarians and, God forbid, gay people are voting for the same person, you don't really want to win.
Right. And the thing is, like, the amount of work that like Brandon did, you saw every single demographic swung towards Trump.
Every
Every
single
single
one.
one, except white men.
Yeah.
And that is crazy. So, which I mean, I get it. I guess the Democrats really beat into white men. You better fucking vote for us or you're evil and you're the satanic whatever. But the thing is that at the end of the day, conservatives, many conservatives have told me I'm not conservative forever. It's kind of like a weird thing conservatives do. You just say,
Mhm.
oh, they're not really one. That's just, I don't know. That might not ever change. I'm going to be honest. But the point is, I am a Republican. I vote Republican. I don't care if you don't believe that I'm a conservative. I don't have anything to prove to you. I really don't. Who I prove things to is really myself, to be
Mhm.
honest. So because I don't care about what you think about what I do. I don't care. But the thing is like, if you won't even vote, that is bare minimum. Nobody even has to know that you voted. You could
Right.
keep it private.
Right.
You don't have to do anything else, but at least vote. Don't spit in the face of everybody that is fighting. And that is the Trump Republicans, the Trumplicans, the MAGA wave, the populists. It's what it is. It's populism. People that are fighting for you, you shit all over them if you won't even vote. And the thing is you don't think that people are working to fix the election system or repair it. I guess fix could be construed a certain way, but there are things going on to help this issue. 2020 was a big reality check for a lot of people.
Mhm.
And so things have been done in 2021, and you see what happened in Virginia. So it's not. So you better get your ass out and vote this year, especially.
Well, let's talk about Virginia. Then I want to go to, we got a whole bunch of super chats again, and guys, thank you for sending them in. They really support the channel, and so I appreciate it. But like again, Glenn Youngkin in Virginia, epic victory, epic victory, built
Epic.
built entirely on critical race theory,
Yeah,
built entirely on, I'm sorry, getting people from the left to leave the
exactly.
left to come and vote for a Republican for the first time. Glenn Youngkin would not have won if it wasn't for walkaway Democrats. And then what happened immediately after the election? Conservatives decided to stop talking about critical race theory and start talking about abortion. And I understand that this is a hot button issue for, and I get it.
It's for everybody, really. Yeah.
And I'm a person that, like, I understand why people withhold a pro-life position. I completely understand why that would be important to people. What I do not understand is making the most lightning rod of lightning rod issues the centerpiece of your campaign when your entire ability to win elections depends on pulling Democrats away
Right.
to come vote for you,
That's true.
because they will never vote for you again. Like, they like I and this is something that I try to explain to Republicans and pro-lifers all the time. They will net like women who any woman under 60 that is not already on your team will never vote for you again, ever. And those are the moms that were walking away from the Democratic Party, because as much as pro-lifers care about this issue, guess what? Women also care about this issue on the other side, and it is beaten into every woman on the left from the time
Right.
they are born. And it's like, especially when conservatives are coming out and they're just saying baby killer, baby killer, baby killer, baby
Yeah.
killer,
It's
it's like,
terrible.
you know what, come on. Like, I feel like I have like a really reasonable position when it comes to abortion, which is I am pro-choice. I do not support late-term abortions unless there is a real medical necessity for it for whatever reason. I think there should be limits on it. I'm comfortable with a first trimester limit.
Mhm.
I think there should be absolute exceptions carved out for sexual assault or the life of the mother. And like I feel like that is a reasonable compromise position that like listen, you're not going to get the full pro-life thing that you
Right.
want, but that's never going to happen anyway. So, like, can we come to some sort of reasonable
Yeah.
compromise where, like, the average person is like, this is a fair and just system? But no, it has to be the extreme on one end against the extreme on the other, and everyone else is a tribalist in between.
Well, the thing about it, you know, I'm very pro-life, obviously,
Yeah.
but I'm not a conservative, remember that, so,
Ah.
uh, but I am pro-life, I always have been, even from a very young age, it was just something I don't know, it's hard to explain, it's such a deep issue that it's hard to even really explain it, and a lot of people say religious reasons, but the
And
Bible
again,
doesn't
like,
really talk about it really, you know what I'm saying? So that's not really why, for me anyway.
And
But
and and again, I wanna emphasize, like, I really do understand people holding
right.
a pro-life position. What I do not understand is sabotaging election chances over a commitment to
No,
a
yeah.
position that you will never achieve politically. It will never happen.
At least not for many, many decades, probably at this point.
Mhm.
Which I think it will be gone one day, but it will be because technology will make it unnecessary, if that makes any sense.
That might be
That
true.
would be in the future, obviously. But the thing is that as a pro-life person, there are so many things that you can do that are not necessarily political. You don't have to jump to that. And the pro-life movement has done a lot over the years. There's crisis centers, there's a lot of different resources. There's a lot of stuff that is done. And there are protests and whatever. People don't like it, but people don't like protesters regardless of who they are. It's just how it
Mhm.
is.
Well, and
Uh,
I will actually give you know what? Listen, I think the best way to for conservatives to tackle the pro-life, pro-choice issue is actually to change culture and to change hearts
yes.
and minds. I don't think it's through legislation. And I think it's like so I will applaud people who are getting out there and protesting because at least they're getting out
Yeah.
there and they're saying something. I might not agree with them, but at least
Right.
they're doing something.
Right, and that's the thing. You could even argue you could proselytize, right? Your religion, you could proselytize certain things like don't have sex with a bunch of random people, for example. Like that would be
Right.
something to advocate for cultural change. And there are a lot of things that go into an abortion happening in the first place, right? There's a lot of different issues. You could advocate for economic change that makes having children easier, having children younger easier.
Mhm.
You could get rid of such a stigma because we have to have children. There's a very antinatalist movement in this country that is not healthy.
Anti-natalist. No, there really is though, because they're
Yeah.
trying to destroy the nuclear family.
Yeah. And they don't want people to have children because I don't know. I mean, people have ideas, but it's just obvious. And it was kind of that way for both sides, unfortunately,
Mhm.
because on the left, they say, well, you shouldn't have a kid because you should just have fun and, you want to save your money, whatever. They say all that stuff to people on the left. But on the right, it's like, well, you don't want to have premarital sex and you need to get married first. But before you get married, you need to go to college. And before you do this, like, there's just so many different steps that by the time you're going to have a kid, you're like in your 30s and your fertility is a lot lower. There's too many barriers to having a family. And then people are upset that there's no families, but then you're
Right.
not doing anything. You're not winning an election. And you're right. You are right. It is a hot button issue. It is a super hot take. The majority of people still support abortion. However, the majority of people support a first trimester rule as well.
Yeah.
So there is even political progress that could be made if you don't jump to the most radical position on it immediately. It's like there are different things that can be done. And like I said, I will never defend abortion. That is just not me. But I agree with you that it's not worth losing elections because at the end of the day, if you're not getting any results, then you're not getting any results at all.
Mhm.
So then if you care about this issue, you should be caring about all these other factors that would lessen it even further.
Yeah.
Majorly the economy. I mean, if you see the economy right now, people are terrified of having a child right now.
Oh yeah, and with good reason. I mean, I get emails all the time from people who they flat out tell me, they're like, "Carlin, I love your content. I want to keep supporting you. Inflation is killing me and I can't." And so if
Yeah.
they can't support like a locals membership for $5 a month, they ain't having kids.
They
Like
can't support a child,
that's
yeah.
just not going to happen. But and the thing of it is, to me, is like, from my perspective, it really is all about winning elections. And
Yeah.
like, and conservatives will complain, like if I go on a Twitter storm about abortion, which most of the time is just because I want to really piss off conservatives, but
Which
like,
of course you will.
which of course I will. Oh, I know exactly what's going
Yeah.
to come into my feed. I know exactly the right things to say to really tweak them out. But the thing of it is, to be serious about it, conservatives would complain about my Twitter storm, but I'm trying to prevent them from losing the 2024 election before we even
Right.
get anywhere near there. Because one of the things I am absolutely terrified of, and I think conservatives took the bait so beautifully on this, is the Supreme Court decision about Roe. Like, they took the bait, because that Supreme Court decision is going to come out in the next couple of months, whether or not Roe versus Wade is going to be repealed. And it looks like there might be a really good shot that there's going to be repealed. And what I don't think conservatives understand is, if Roe gets repealed, it is going to unleash a fury from the left, the likes of which they have never seen in the history of this country. Like, if they thought the left was bad during Black Lives Matter, holy
That's
hell,
true.
hang on to your hats. And guess what it's going to coincide with? The 2022 midterms. And like, if you like, and it's like the red wave is there. It is like
It is.
conservatives don't even need to do anything. They just need to shut up. Like, conservatives should just
Mhm.
like stop making all statements between now and like in November. Just like get off of Twitter, just shut up. Let the Democrats say as much crazy shit as they want, because like, it's like the red wave is right there. But if Roe versus Wade gets repealed, it
It
is
won't
going
be
to
a wave,
be
yeah.
it not only is it not going to be a wave, but there is going to be a nightmare for the next 2 years
Yeah.
leading up to 2024. And I've said it repeatedly, I would rather lose in 2022 and win in 2024. I think if Roe gets repealed, we're losing both. And there goes the country. And it's like, I feel like I'm fighting with these pro-lifers, like, we don't care. We don't care if we lose every major election for the rest of our lives. And I'm like, okay, you want a Supreme Court decision on abortion to lose every
I know, but the thing that they're not
branch and
okay,
every good. Go ahead.
if they do that, the Democrats in Congress are just gonna codify.
Yes, that's exactly what's
You're
going to
not
happen.
gonna get what you want.
Yeah.
Think about the goal. If you want to stop that, the best thing you can do is advance technology and fix the economy. That will bring it down drastically, and
Mm-hmm.
it will be basically gone if those 2 things happen. If they don't, then it's gonna be massively more abortions,
Oh yeah.
especially if Democrats rule everything. They'll probably require you to get one at some point. I mean, they're crazy, you
Yeah.
know? They
And
are nuts.
and I don't think like pro-lifers like, Carlin, do you not understand this is our most important issue in the history of issues? And I'm
It
like,
is, but you still wanna win it.
do
You
yeah,
still need to win.
well,
Ugh, I'm gonna be
Y
like you.
yeah, and I'm like, "Do you not understand that this is the thing that will result in no woman voting for you guys ever?" And there goes every ounce of work that was put into educating people about what is going on in the
Right.
schools to get that Glenn Youngkin win, gone. Gone. Will never come back, because women will never vote for you. Never.
Well, you certainly I mean, you will not get anyone new, and we need to get as many new people as
Yes.
we can. That's a certainty. And I would say I think it would take a super easy election and make it incredibly difficult. I think we are very polarized as a country right now, so I don't see it being like this massive blue wave, but it would
Mhm.
not be a red wave either. It would be like gridlock, lockstep, like barely,
Yeah.
kind of thing. And one way or the other, it'd be like super tight. And right now, we could win drastically. I mean, we could
Oh,
and with the
yeah.
way things are going, oh my God. I mean, who knows what Biden has coming up next? I mean, my God, the amount of
Mhm.
horrible things that he's done. we could have a super majority at this rate, like you said, especially if that doesn't become the main issue. You know, you can make it a state's issue, for example, but it doesn't need to be a national issue. And again, this is how elections work.
Well, and it's like the conservative answer to this is, well, Carlin, it just sends it back to the states and it makes it a states' rights issue. And again, I have to say, okay, I understand that from a
But
practical
that's
level.
not what will happen.
That's
That's not
that's
how they
not
take it.
that's
Yeah,
not how the left is going to take it. The left is going to take it as this is the worst possible slight in they will burn down this country rather than go along with it's just like let's just have a calm, rational discussion about states' rights. No, that's not what's coming. That's not what's coming
that's
at
true.
all.
They will. I mean, they go nuts now in New York. Like you can get one after the baby's born and they still are nuts over it. I mean, I do think you are saying something very true that people don't understand. People are nuts about it, especially people that are really fanatical about it on
Mhm.
either side, really. People go nuts over it. And
And
I,
again oh,
yeah.
sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, you have to keep elections in mind. It's not, and that's the thing. Politics and religion are not the same thing.
Right.
A religious principle of abortion is a sin, for example, that is a personal thing. That is for you. You'll never get one yourself, right? And if anybody in your life wants to get one, you would pressure them not to, or you'd say, I don't think you should because of X, Y, and Z. That's what that means. But politically, it's a very different conversation. And you have
Mhm.
to think about winning, and you have to think about getting power and then using the power. And if we just did, then our country wouldn't be like this.
That's exactly right. Exactly right. All right, I want to go do some super chats. Nat D says, "What about Janet Jackson? The conservatives were awful to Janet
I'm
Jackson."
sure.
Yeah, after the whole Super Bowl not mistake. Emphasize says, "I was groped in a gay bar and was told by women to be proud that someone was attracted to me. If it was done to them, they'd call the cops." I mean, that's, probably true, but thank you for that emphasize. The system is down, guys. I was on Dan's podcast earlier. The system is down. I highly recommend you check it out. He's got a really cool show. He says, as the son of a pastor, I can personally confirm the cancel culture origin story. It's
Yeah,
true.
it is.
It is. M169, thank you for the super chat. This is why I love The Shack. It poked at the hypocrisy of the conservative Christian. It's a book everyone should read. Do you know that book?
I don't actually.
I might have to check it out.
Hmm.
I've never heard of it either. Thank you for that recommendation. I think there are a couple more. Let me see. AM, the right has some blame for woke BS too. They threw communities and heritage away and replaced it with cold economics. The woke are filling a need.
It's true. I
It
think
is.
that's true. That'd be more like in the 80s, so that'd be a lot earlier than
Yeah.
what I'm talking about. But yeah,
I
it's
agree, like
true.
Reaganomics sort of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, which I like, from what I've heard about him, I like Reagan enough, but there were some things you can learn from that, right? You can learn
Yeah.
from anything.
I
Mhm.
mean, Trump was obviously very inspired by Reagan.
Yeah.
Emphasize says, y'all gonna get what y'all think y'all want in order to complain. That is not what y'all want. Twitter gonna get an edit button to hate too. I I don't care. I want Twitter to have an edit button. I am completely on the pro edit button train. And I think our last super chat for right now from Justin, this is a lesson Canadian conservatives had to learn very quickly. There is no appetite for abortion restrictions in Canada, so they don't put it on the table. And it's like if you want to tackle abortion and pro-life is like your most important issue, I get it, but there are other ways to accomplish the goal that are not
Right.
shooting yourself in the foot for every election for the rest of your lives.
And you could just advocate with first term. That would
Mhm.
be a winning position. There is stuff that could be done, and they don't even do that. It's like you don't need to jump to the very end of the journey. It can be a journey, but like I said, it will end because of the economy being better and technology advancing, which the technology will only advance once the economy gets better. So we need to get Biden out of office and get somebody that's
Yeah.
economically sound
Like
in.
Like, there's a process, and I think one of the things that, like,
Yes.
conservatives don't understand is, like, it's not enough for your influencers to talk about it on their radio show. Like, you're like, Dan Bongino talking about something on his show does not mean that thing is actually going to happen.
Right.
And this is a mistake I see a lot of conservatives make. They say, "Well, all these people are talking about it, we should just go do it." Okay, well, fine, yeah, that's fine, but in order to do it, you need to win an election. And so in order to accomplish this goal, and this is maybe me being like the goal oriented person, I always think about like what is the
Mhm.
steps to accomplish this goal. You need to win the election, which means you need to have a great candidate, which means you need to rally people, which means you need to do door knocking. It's like all these steps
Yep.
go into this one big goal that you have to accomplish this goal before you can get to what the influencers are saying you should do.
Yes. Yes. And I guess with that, we can go into some of what I think conservatives should do.
Yeah, let's
Some
do it.
realistic action. I love you, Carlin, but for a lot of conservatives, they hear you need to get up and go wear your Trump hat and, do all this. They're like, they're like, oh, but
Mhm.
let's do some much more realistic actions that conservatives can take. Okay.
Mhm.
So the very, very first thing is, as a conservative, you have to recognize your power. And what I mean by that is when you are obstructing somebody, nobody can obstruct like a conservative. It is an incredible skill beyond any level that you could ever imagine.
It's true. It's true. Mhm.
But you gotta obstruct the right people. That's the problem. Don't obstruct yourself. Don't obstruct people like Carlin and Brandon Strog and even other people that we may not even get along with, right? You
Mhm.
don't want to obstruct, even if you don't like somebody. Don't obstruct if they're doing good work. Do not. But someone like AOC, obstruct the hell out of her. Someone like Biden, obstruct him every moment. Do not ever give him a moment of peace. Never. Every single day, be on his ass. Every single moment. Every single day forever. I mean,
Mhm.
literally, like in conservatives, we have this in us. You know, there's this myth, there's a evangelical, whatever, cringe myth on the right that conservatives are just so polite. We're just so sweet and so polite.
No.
No,
No. No. It's
we
not
love
true.
being nasty. We love being mean. You get to
Conservatives are
start it,
more nasty to me than leftists. Like
blood in
Biden.
the water, sniff it out and
Yes.
go.
Yeah.
Basically, but make sure that it's to the right people. And there are people that it could be better utilized towards. So obstruct the right people, obstruct and go after. And again, you can make their life a living hell. I don't understand that conservative thing of like, oh, the super woke, crazy leftist SJW. I don't want to hurt their feelings. Ugh, you hurt the normal liberals' feelings in the 2000s that was just like, I just want to smoke weed and I don't care if my friend is gay. You hurt their feelings, no problem.
Mhm.
Why don't you take some of that hurt feeling energy and
Yeah.
direct it towards radicals?
That I mean, I have often thought that if, like, conservatives put half the energy into fighting the woke left as they put into fighting me, like, I would have no issue with them, but they, like, are they're mean like, they're mean and nasty to me, they call me every name in the book, they spread bullshit lies about me all over the internet, and I'm like, I'm sorry, you want me to help you? No. Like, no, not in any way. Like, go fight the right person first, and then
Right.
maybe I'll come stand up for you
If you
again.
are criticizing Carlin more than you are criticizing Joe Biden,
Mhm.
loser. You are a loser.
Mhm.
You are a loser, period. So the other side of that is as a conservative, you have an amazing ability to support people as well. So, and that means emotionally, financially, everything. So people that are doing good work, people like Brandon, even Carlin, oh my God, heaven forbid I say that. Oh, I really just broke a rule there.
Mhm.
If people are doing good work, people like Trump, right? People that are doing good things, that are getting shit done. Well, I don't think anybody cares that I cuss, but
No.
anyways, that are doing that type of stuff, if they are getting things done, making stuff happen, like you said, the critical race theory, and they're getting it out there, and the good journalists, and You know, people like, for example, Daisy Cousins, like she's not a
Yeah.
homophobe. She's very nice. She's very conservative. She's totally with it, right? It's like people that are good conservatives in media, people that are, you know, that kind of thing, support them. Give them your attention, give them your time. Don't give all your time to SJWs, right? Or your money to this type of stuff. Like, I make an effort to support Carlin because I see that she does good work, and and it is a need. There is a need for criticism of the right, and it's hard because for so many years, the left criticized everything all the time, especially in the 2010s. Because again, all the energy that was really toxic and nasty of the right on the left, it all came right back in the 2010s. The left was really nasty and vicious towards the right, so it was just a backlash. So basically, it's like we've shut out any criticism, because if everything you do is racist, if everything you say is racist, if everything you think is racist, if you support this, you're a racist. If everything is racist, then you just learn as a conservative to shut it all out. But certain people you have to listen to because they want you to win. Carlin wants the right to win in these issues, especially.
I would love nothing more than for there to be a massive red wave in 2020.
Right.
I would love it. I would celebrate it. I would say, I'm so proud of you guys for getting your shit together, even if it just meant shutting up for a couple of months so you don't say something stupid. Like, that's still getting, like, I want
Right.
conservatives to win. And it's like, you know, I just feel
People,
like I'm fighting a losing battle.
people don't understand too, like, even when it comes to you in the libertarian thing, for example, in the
Yeah.
Mises Caucus, if Republicans are doing well and they have good candidates and they're awesome, then libertarians could actually be more of a spoiler for Democrats, because there are many Democrats that will never ever vote Republican. They could never do it in their whole life. And that, I understand, that's fine. I don't think I could ever vote Democrat ever, for example. So I understand, but they will vote libertarian because that is still a way to make a statement. And so if there is another option, it doesn't have to be a spoiler for the right. It will be if the right sucks, though. That's
Well,
the issue.
and that's the thing, and what I'm scared of, and listen, I'm saying this as someone that I am a libertarian. I'm committed to
Right.
the libertarian thing. I feel really good about it. I feel like it's the right home for me. I will say though that if conservatives gave me a good candidate, and this will probably get me in trouble later with the party, whatever. But if conservatives gave me a good candidate that I just couldn't deny, I was like,
Right.
okay, like I agree with them on like, you know, a whole bunch of things. They're speaking some of the libertarian talking points, and the libertarians, we need to face facts sometimes. The libertarians aren't going to win anything anytime soon. I am not going to be the next governor of New Hampshire, as much as I might like to be. That is just not going to
Really?
happen.
No way.
You know, who knew? Who knew? But like if they gave me a good candidate that I could like support, I would probably end up voting for that person. The problem is right now in my congressional district, I am basically going to be
Yeah.
stuck. I'm probably going to be stuck. There is actually a guy in my congressional district that I does hope gets the nomination, and he has more libertarian tendencies. But what's probably going to happen is I'm going to be stuck with a 24-year-old blonde girl that was an assistant press secretary for Trump, because that is the very best candidate the GOP could put forward. I'm like, I'm not voting for that. I'm sorry. She's 24 years old. No.
Yeah, I can see what you mean. Well, to me, it's like, again, always think about winning. That's more of like a liberal, libertarian thing, though, to be honest. I don't know if conservatives will do that. I'm trying to be
Yeah.
realistic.
Oh, it's okay.
I
It's
am. I'm
okay.
trying to be realistic. So that's the second point, is support good people. Support people that are helping you win. At least if you're so inclined, if you're like, I'm going to do extra credit today as a conservative, then support somebody that is doing good. The bare minimum is to shut up. Do not obstruct someone like Carlin. Do not, if she puts out an article about how teachers are grooming children, do not criticize her and try to shut her down for doing so. Period. It's a bigger issue. It's much more important than any personal thing between anybody and Carlin, or anybody else, really. There's many conservatives I don't like. Like I said, your politics does not make you a good person. So I don't always like conservatives either. But I don't care. You know, me and my aunt and my family, she counseled me, and it was really scarring and really horrible. And I do not speak to her to this day. But at the end of the day, We both voted for Trump.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to like each other. You don't have to talk to each other. I don't have to say she's an amazing person. She doesn't have to say I am. It doesn't matter. But we didn't obstruct each other's vote. She did not
Right.
say, oh, well, he should never vote for Trump. No. And I never said she's not welcome either. You don't do that. That's stupid. You got to put bullshit aside when it
Yeah.
comes to elections, period.
It's true. I just want to get this super chat from Emphasize in real quick. You'll enjoy the edit button for yourself, but hate how others use it to manipulate others. I don't care. I want an edit button. I am selfish. This is my month of narcissism. I want an edit button. All right. That's all.
So the last thing is, as a conservative, you can conserve. That is your role. So what does that mean? Think about the fact that I conserved my relationship, my long distance relationship over a pandemic. That
Mhm.
was me. I love my boyfriend to death, but it was me because I'm the conservative. I'm the one that kept it going because I did not want it to end. So I put in that effort and I kept things going. And of course, he wanted to as well. But the point is, that's my skill set. That even at the darkest night, even at the worst time, even if I felt like it would never end, I could still do it because as a conservative, my brain works that way where I can keep it going no matter what. So, what I say with that in mind is as a conservative, you must conserve MAGA,
Mhm.
conserve the Trump movement. Do not let it die. Do not let it be replaced with something else. It was winning. And things take time. And sometimes things go forward and then there's a step back. There's always that in politics. That is very real, where you could take 2 steps forward and then 1 step back. We were making progress. We still are, even to this day. But conserve MAGA. Do not give up. Do not let other conservatives try to change it into whatever the hell thing they're trying to do. Don't let people get so black pilled that they give up. Conserve it. Keep it going. Say no, MAGA. No, we're doing this. No, we're going in the populist direction. And that means you have to accept the fact that you can either have something for yourself or you can be a winner or the
Mhm.
majority. So if something is for the majority, then there is going to have to be some compromise.
Yeah.
Because if you want to win and if you want to be in charge of everything, you have to have the majority on your side, which means that it's not just for you. That means Trump isn't just for you. MAGA isn't just for you. Even the Republican Party isn't just for you. If you truly want to win and you want positive change, that's what it will take. It's very much like the SJWs, or I'll even throw my own under the bus, the LGBT.
Mhm.
You can either be special and different and ostracized and outside, or you can be a part of society and not special. You can't have it both ways. It's the exact same thing. So I think a lot of these evangelical cringe people, they want conservative, they want MAGA and Trump and republicanism to be for them only. But
Mhm.
you lost and you won't have anything, and you can still be exactly who you are. You can be an evangelical. Like, I don't want to give the impression that I have any issues with evangelicals. I think it's actually one of the best forms of Christianity. Carlin may disagree, but I do, because when you get into like super orthodox, it can get really wild. That's actually what Lauren is, or Lauren Witzke. She's
Oh, yeah, at
orthodox.
least, like, evangelicals have,
Yeah.
like, good, like, music and stuff, like, you guys have music at least.
Right. And at least with an evangelical, you can kind of talk about things and kind of agree to disagree to a certain extent, at least
Mhm.
for me. I mean, I'm not very different. I'm like very close to an evangelical, but I'm not, but I'm like really close to it. So I do like most of it. Like Babylon B, they're evangelical. We
Mhm.
like them, you know what I mean? It's like, it's not so much that there's a hatred, it's just that it doesn't work for everybody.
Yeah.
Even within Christianity, it doesn't. So just,
And I
yeah.
mean, I would say my perspective on it is, like, I don't care if people are Christian. I don't
Right.
care. I don't care what spiritual belief or, like, religion people practice. I don't view it as my business. I just want, like, as someone who is not a Christian, like, respect the fact that I have my own spiritual beliefs, and please stop trying to convert me. I know that it is part of your thing. I know that it is part of your book. I know that I understand that. But if I say to you, please stop proselytizing to me, I am not now, or nor am I ever going to be a Christian, like, you need to stop. And like, I don't see, like, it's not one of those things like, well, Carlin, our book tells us that it is our job to convert you, and so we have to proselytize to you every, like, that is just going to piss me off. Like, I have my belief system, you have yours, we have freedom of religion in this country. I will fight to the death for you to be able to practice whatever type of Christianity you want, but in return, I need you to leave me the F alone.
Well, here's the thing too. So here's the tea as well.
Mhm.
When it came to my boyfriend, he was pretty adamantly atheist when I first talked to him. And he just said, well, you can have your religion. That's fine. Because I was a Christian. I converted to Christianity in 2015.
Okay.
So it's been a minute, but it was still kind of new at the time that I started talking to him. But anyways, he was just like, you can do what you need to do, but just leave me out of it. He was just very extra about it. Okay. Like super extra, way more extra than even you, to be honest.
Some
But
atheists are very angry about,
yeah,
and I don't understand that either, to be
but
honest.
I just, right. But I just said, okay, we got in arguments about things because we talked about like having kids and, how are they going to be raised? And I said, I'm a Christian. My children have to be raised Christian. I don't even have a choice. The Bible says you must raise your children in the faith. And he got super triggered by it. And he's just like, oh my God, and it was like a thing, right? And I just said, look, if they grow up and they don't believe or whatever, it's not like I'm not going to love them. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? Like they still will have their choice. But I just said, if I don't teach my kids that, then some school is just going to teach them to be feminist or something. They're going to teach them something else. And I would rather teach my own children what I believe, you know what I mean? So it's like, which that is my right as a parent, which, that's like, I'm not even a parent, but I'm just saying, like, as a parent, that would be my right. And he was just upset because he wasn't, right, and all this stuff. But when I explained it to him like that, he kind of calmed down. But then he was also like, he also, because he agreed. He's not a feminist either. So when I said that, he was like, oh yeah, that's true. Like they will just teach them to be that way, because they will. The schools will teach kids crazy stuff. I mean, honestly, I think any parent should teach their kids how to see the world and stuff, because don't leave it to the schools, clearly. But anyway, the point is, I'm sure if Carlin had a child, she would raise her child, or maybe you wouldn't, I don't know, but you'd at least share your own, right?
Yeah. Well,
Right.
or I mean, I would probably like I would, if I had a child, I would probably want to. I was exposed to a lot of different religious beliefs, so I would probably do it a little differently. But at the
Right.
same time, I completely respect everyone's ability to raise their child however they want.
Right. And so and the only reason why it was a debate is because, me and him are different, or we were different. And the thing is like, he would always say, you can do this, but I never want to talk about it. But he would keep bringing it up to me.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just like, okay, well, if he brings it up, then I'll give him the points, I'll tell him why I think that way. And then I just left it alone because I accepted, I was like, he may never convert. That's what I accepted. And I just said, it's in God's hands, that kind of thing. And funnily enough, around 2 years later, he told me that he wasn't atheist anymore.
Oh.
And I was like, what? It's like, that's huge. He's like, I'm not a part of any religion. He's like, I'm not this, I'm not that. He's like, I don't want any organized religion, whatever, that kind of thing. But he's like, but I do believe in God. And that was huge for me. So it's like, if you constantly do the shoving down the throat thing, if I would have done that, he would not have even come to that. And again, it's not about perfection. I'm sorry to turn this into a sermon, but I am talking primarily to Christians.
Do
So,
it. Do
okay.
it.
The point is, in the Bible, it talks about legalism. Legalism is not a good thing as a Christian, being obsessed with rules, being obsessed with perfection. There are even verses where Jesus talks about, are you burned out by religion? Follow me, your load will be light, and blah, 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 right? It's that idea of like, Jesus never wanted it to be like a chore, like you're constantly just, like you're just, gosh, like this role and that role and this and this and that. And of course there's a balance, with it. Like you're supposed to work on your sins and all that stuff, but that's obvious. But the point is, like, don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good. My boyfriend becoming a theist is massive progress. If we don't ban abortion outright, getting a first term limit is a huge victory. And if you don't do anything, then you're not getting anything done. You see what I'm saying? Like, you can't let the perfect or the super radical or the super far out thing destroy the good. And that's all. Nobody is trying to change you. You can believe and live your life however you want. Again, I have very, very conservative people in my life. I have absolute respect. But not everybody is going to want to live like you.
Right.
And that's okay. There are going to be people, dare I say, that have open marriages. But they may still vote for Trump, and you may still be able to agree on things. But that doesn't mean you have to have one. It doesn't even mean you have to agree with it.
No, it doesn't. Just
You
let
can
other
agree
people live
against
their
it.
lives.
Yeah.
Oh my
You can even
God.
say, I don't think you should. And this is why. But don't try to make a law saying you can't. That's when it crosses a line.
Or even, I would say, it's even before getting to the making of the law, just don't insult people
Right. Have
needlessly.
respect. Yeah.
Just like it's like, all these conservatives that went around going, if you are in an open marriage, you are in a farce of a relationship. I'm sorry. I know people who have been married decades that have extremely successful marriages that are in open relationships. And it might not be your cup of tea, and I understand that. No one is forcing anyone
Right.
to get into an open relationship. But to say to those people, you have a farce of a marriage, because by the way, just so you guys know, most of the people who have open marriages don't tell you they're in open marriages. So, like, you're probably going to be insulting people that you have no idea you're insulting them, and then they're not gonna vote for you, and they're not going to support you, and it's just one of those things, it's like, just an easy mistake that is just, like, so eminently avoidable.
Yeah, and that's the other thing that I want to say, last Christian talking point, I guess, is
Mhm,
as a Christian, your ultimate priority is your own salvation. At the end of the day, you cannot control how other people act. You cannot control other people's actions. God doesn't expect you to. God only expects you to work on yourself. So, the Bible talks about your cup flowing over. It's because you worked on you. It goes out to other people. It's
mhm.
not you judge everybody and tell everybody what to do, and then it like fixes you inside. Like that's the opposite. That's an SJW thing. That's SJW, which SJW is, if anything, an inversion of Christianity. So it's the exact opposite, where you have to fix the world to fix yourself. No, you fix yourself first. And in Christianity, of course, God fixes you.
Mhm,
And that's, you work with God to fix yourself, and that spills out to everybody else. So
mhm.
just keep that in mind. And it's not, nobody is attacking your religion that's voting for Trump. That's all I'm saying.
Right, right. Any other tips you got for conservatives, Alex?
That's, to me, those are the achievable goals. So
Mhm,
remember, just to refresh it, keep your mouth shut. If you want to obstruct somebody that's doing good work, just be quiet, or smell the blood in the water for somebody that deserves it, truly. Somebody that is making you lose, somebody that is like Biden. If you want extra credit, support people that are helping you win financially, emotionally, even just a nice message, even just, gosh, Carlin, I really appreciate the work that you've done. Thank you so much. Be appreciative, be respectful. Even if you disagree, just be respectful about it. It goes
mhm.
a long way, especially with more liberal minded people. All liberals ever wanted in the 2000s was to be accepted,
Yeah.
to be loved, to be accepted, to be able to live more than one kind of life. And if you can just provide that, they'll be with you. They'll love you back. They'll be so happy to help. And they'll get shit done. I mean, look at
Mhm.
Trump, right? He got shit done.
Yeah, and
So
I
Yeah.
And I
Mhm.
just want to say one more thing on that to just emphasize the point Alex is making. I would prefer, like, if someone sends me a nice note saying, you show up every day and you fight for us and just thank you for doing that. That oftentimes is just as meaningful to me than if someone joins my locals or like sends me a nice super chat. Like they mean the same. And so it's like if you don't have the money to afford financial support right now, I totally understand it. It's a tough time for everyone, but everyone can send an email. Everyone can leave a comment. Everyone can tune in for a conversation. They can hit the thumbs up button. Like these don't cost anything. It's just a matter of being mindful of it. And I think, too, to say like just don't be obstructionist, like that's a really key point because oftentimes I really do feel like I spend significantly more time fighting with conservatives who are trying to just like derail everything that I'm working on than I do with liberals. I don't even hear from the left these days. I really don't.
There's reasons why.
I only hear from conservatives.
It's probably because Biden is an embarrassment, honestly. That's probably why they're not saying anything as much. But the point is, you shouldn't have to fight people you're helping. That's crazy.
Yeah.
And the thing is even if what she's doing is making you uncomfortable and you're just like, oh, God, just be quiet. Shh. Like, just let it go. Write a journal entry about it. Get it out. Go for a walk. Do something. You could even talk shit about her in private. I don't think she care, right?
I don't care. No, I don't
But
care. Just don't get in my
don't,
way.
yeah, don't put it her way. Don't try to ruin her reputation. Don't try to do these things. It's not helpful at all. And it goes a long way. And again, as a conservative, I don't think you understand how much power you have in these areas to both obstruct and support. It's very powerful. And remember to keep MAGA alive, MAGA forever. So those are my
Um, all right, Alex. Well, I've really enjoyed this conversation. I think this has been a great chat. I think there's so many really great takeaways. Did you have fun?
I did, and I wasn't that nervous once it started.
Right.
So
Just a conversation. Well, we'll have to keep the conversation going, but where can people find you and where can people support you and the work you're doing?
okay, so I do have a YouTube channel.
Mhm.
Like I said, I also have my books. I'm a conservative, so I'm terrible with technology. That's another thing that you were right about. I'm really bad with it. And I'm terrible with links and all that stuff. But I will try to put my books like in my description and stuff. But I do have
Mhm.
these as well. If anybody is looking for unwoke storytelling, even if it, dare I say, has a gay character in it at times. Even if there's one where somebody drinks. No, I'm just kidding.
That's a step
Or
too
if there's
far.
sex in it.
Ooh.
This one is definitely 18 plus. So that might be interesting to some people because unwoke and that kind of thing in it would be interesting, I think, for a lot of people.
Mhm.
But the point is, that would be helpful, but also just, going to my channel, Graphically Alex. I'm also on Instagram. If you want to see a lot of my political stuff, I do political stuff on Instagram literally every day. I think I drive everybody in my personal life nuts. So it's the same at Graphically Alex.
Awesome. And I did put those links in the description below. Whether you're watching on YouTube, Odyssey, Rockfin, Rumble, on Gitter, you're gonna have to come over to YouTube to get the links because that's just the way Gitter works. But make sure you follow Alex and support what he's doing. And Alex, I really appreciate you coming and having this conversation. I think we actually agree on pretty much
Yeah.
everything. I think but the value that you gave is just providing a little bit more insight into why conservatives might be
Yes.
lazy and uninclined to do things.
It's scared. I'd say scared. You say lazy.
And I will make a nice clip of you telling conservatives what to do, even though I say exactly the same things and they don't listen to me because they don't like my hair. But you saying it might be a totally different thing. It might be
It could help.
revelatory.
It could help.
So very good job. Thank you again for
Thank you.
joining. And guys, I just want to remind you that Alex actually got on the channel today because he is a member of Add to Stream, my locals
Ooh.
community, and he comes to our community Zooms and we have a great old time and we gossip and we talk about what's going on with content creators and people who are giving me a hard time online, but we also talk about substantive things too. So if you want to get in on our community Zooms, we do them on Mondays at 7 p.m. and on Wednesdays at noon, and you have to be a supporter in my locals to take advantage of them. Alex, do you want to talk about why you come to community Zoom? Do you want to plug?
Well,
You like
I
gossip.
I
and
do. I
drama.
like the drama. I do. I really do. And Carlin's life is so crazy dramatic. And I can't even, I mean, my life is really dramatic too, to be honest, which you could hear about that on my channel, right?
Mhm,
But I think it's like, I love it because she's kind of as intense as I am, but
mhm.
she has different views and she comes from like a totally different experience. So it's really interesting to me. So I love all of the drama and the tea and all that stuff. That is a big part of why I like being on locals because you really do get the tea.
And
You
and
do.
and you definitely do. And sometimes people that are in my life, they like to say that, I don't have anyone around me that disagrees with me. Is that true?
No, no, no. No, people disagree in there all the time. I mean, I'm sure Josh constantly disagrees with you too.
Oh god,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's the thing. Carlin, you can disagree with her. Look, I disagree with her on a lot of things, but we had a very civil conversation. We have a friendship. I support her. You know, she supports the MAGA. You know, it's like, it's a good thing. It doesn't have to be hard. We can normalize being friends with people that disagree.
It's okay. Everyone's gonna survive. So, guys, if you would like to get on the community Zooms, our next one is actually no, we have Bitchcraft this weekend. So we're doing Bitchcraft on Saturday at 3 p.m., which is basically like a community Zoom, except it's on Saturday and we knit and do a sort. I mean, I knit on every community Zoom, but like, but it's a specific crafting time. So if you would like to join us for Bitchcraft on Saturday at 3 p.m., you can get in on the action by going to kb.locals.com/support. The link is in the description below. You can join for $5 a month. You can join annually for $50, which gives you 2 months for free. So it's a nice little deal. You can also make a one-time gift, which of course I greatly support. And definitely come to our Bitchcraft on Saturday, our next community Zoom on Monday or Wednesday. And if you feel so inclined to pre-order a copy of Actively Unwoke, the ultimate guide for fighting back against woke insanity in your life, because regardless of the amount of time that I end up shitting on conservatives, I do actually think that the woke left are significantly more
Yeah,
dangerous than conservatives, if for no other reason than they control everything because conservatives don't know how to win elections. But like we can still fight back against
yeah,
them, and there are things that we can do. And for all those conservatives that are just like, I wish I could fight back, and
that's
Alex is
right.
right, and we need to do things, and we need to actually stand up. I give you bullet points of
There are ways.
exactly what you need to do. I lay it out in specific detail of here are the steps that you need to take. So it is the perfect guidebook. You can get it right now on Amazon, the hardcover, audio, and Kindle version. And if you don't want to purchase through Amazon, I totally get it. Head over to activelyunwoke.com and you will have some other options as well. All right, Alex. Well, thank you for spending some time with me today.
Yes.
I really
Thank you so
appreciate it,
much.
and we'll see you in Bitchcraft on Saturday.
Yes, probably. I'll at least be listening. I work, but I listen to the tea. No, I'm just sure there'll be more tea for sure.
There's
So,
always more tea, isn't there? It's like it wouldn't be a community call if I didn't gossip about something.
if something crazy didn't happen, it wouldn't be Carlin's life. So,
God, I just like I'm the most boring person in the world, and this is the situation I found myself in. All right, well, we're gonna wrap it up for today, guys. Please mount that like button on the way out the door. Please subscribe to the channel if you have not already. Again, I'm waiting for to find out if Spy Stream is gonna happen tomorrow night at around 7 p.m. I think it will, and I will be updating everyone tomorrow. For right now, take care, have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you soon.